Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, and I thank you for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online at ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. If you do, get caught up whenever you can. It'll be there waiting on you all 3 hours. Posted every day upon the conclusion of the show and again on iTunes. It's always out there. You can email the show if you like. JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. By the way, if you've ever emailed the show and said something nice about the program and the work we do here, and you didn't hear back from me, it's not because I'm not appreciative. We just get so many emails, and sometimes, they get lost in the shuffle. But I do appreciate the kind words that you say about me and Tom and Matthew and the station.
Bet if there was a Sirius XM inbox, you'd respond to those people.
No, I definitely would not do that.
That's true.
No, I'm much more apt to respond in this particular inbox than I am in the Sirius XM inbox.
I'm sure you get some
cuckoo.
Worldwide crazy folk.
Well, one thing, and we're going to get straight to practice today. I was at practice this morning. Of course, yesterday attended the press conference, and we've got audio for you this hour, so don't worry. I'll get into that. But as an aside, since we're on that subject, one thing I have figured out in hosting nationally is that everybody does believe you hate their team.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing. Everybody believes the host of any particular radio show hates their team. And it's even if you go out of your way to be as objective as you possibly can, which, by the way, when I do that show, I am. I put on a different hat. I exercise a different muscle. I tell myself when I get in there, everybody loves a team, and they have every right to that. And even if you hate their team, treat them with respect. Let them have their thing, because you know how how you are, right? And we know how Florida State fans are, and we don't want somebody telling us that we can't have that. We cherish our Noles, right? And so I get it. Somebody else cherishes Kansas football. I mean, it's a son of a bitch for them, but they do. And so I try to treat it that way.
That actually happened. You told me that story today.
Yeah. I did tell you that story. Yeah. I told a guy on the air, I said, well, it's Kansas, man. I can't, I'm not going to lie to tell you I'm not as well-versed as maybe I need to be about Kansas, buddy.
It's like everybody's mad at you because you hate their team, in quotation marks, until the Kansas guy calls and they go, what is this guy calling for?
Yeah, he's calling about Kansas football. And I go, hey, Bill Miller's there now. Yeah, he'll be coaching up your linebackers to the glory. You guys are going to be dominant.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's where he is. He's a linebacker coach at Kansas. See, these are the things you got to know, Tom, when you
This is the guy that was helping out our blue chips last year. Yeah, that's
actually, I got an email, speaking of emails, and I will go through that, asking me where the assistant coaches from the 2017 staff are. And we can chop, Matthew. Let's find out where those assistants are. Bill Miller is with Kansas. I know that, so go ahead. Don't worry about him. Jimbo Fisher is at Texas A&M, and he took some assistants with him. We know that.
Yeah, those are the only people he called, right?
Apparently, I mean, I don't know who he didn't reach out to.
All right, I stepped in a mud pie. We'll move on.
Yeah. He didn't call a lot of people, except for those few that he needed to come with him.
All right, yep.
Yeah,
moving on. Sorry.
True. Okay, so first things first. We both were in attendance yesterday for the start of football season. That's what I think of the opening press conference every year. And it tugs at my heartstrings parking over there now because so much has changed. That was my 20th, 21st press conference over there. To be able to work in this business for 2 decades, 3 decades, but to be able to work in this job and cover this program and cover college football and this conference on the whole, it never gets old. It's just awesome, and I'm really appreciative. So that's the first thing that happened yesterday. Was driving over there, I was pondering just how long this has been. And then I parked the car, and I got out, and I looked at that stadium, and I looked at the surroundings and the practice field and the indoor practice facility, and we walked inside the Moore Athletic Center, and I thought, a lot has changed since I started covering this team and talking sports with you guys every day.
A lot has changed since I was taking classes in that same building 12 years ago, which is nuts. But you're right. In the offseason, you drive around that area, not so often because why are you over there? But the stadium doesn't stand out. It's just kind of, it's all right, at some point I'll see you.
I'll be back.
But then you drive there yesterday, and it's almost as though the stadium glows. Because it's just, you know it. It's real, and the energy.
You feel it.
It's completely, your own mind playing tricks on you, but you can feel that energy driving there. It's nothing different about your car, but you feel it. The steering wheel feels better.
Well, everything about being able to cover football is just a joy. I just love it. I do. And I think we're all newly energized. I will say that. I mean, we feel this change, too. I mean, there has been an infusion of life in that athletic center and that Moore Athletic Center without question. But we feel it, too, covering the team. I talked to a lot of reporters, a lot of people who are on this beat, a lot of people who've been doing this for a while, and some of the newer guys, too. And they all sense the uptick in emotion and energy and focus and excitement and enthusiasm surrounding the program. That's what happens with a coaching change. That doesn't, I'm not even saying anything negative about what last year was, which was a dumpster fire. We know that. Last year was a complete mess and an odd year to cover a team. Just a weird year. I mean, I've been a part of seasons that went south, but nothing like what we had a year ago where the players had checked out, the coaching staff had checked out, and really week to week there was not a lot of investment, if you will, from those involved in Florida State football. This is the polar opposite of that because they're trying to turn it all around and create something brand new, and they need players to buy into that. They need coaching staff to buy in and all be one, and I think they've gone to great lengths to engender the familial atmosphere that Willie's looking for, and you sense that when you're over there. There's no question. And there's also no question that this is Willie's program. He has put his stamp on it now, and all that's left to do is go out and win games, and you got to do that. If you want to continue to be here and continue to foster a vision of a long-term success for your program, you got to find ways to win games, and that's what we're here to do ultimately. And but he's done everything right this offseason. There's no question. Really has hit a PR home run everywhere you look. Most recently with the hiring of Mickey Andrews, which we talked about on Friday. I saw Mickey out of practice today, and it was good to see him. But I wanted to know who's calling plays on game day. How does it work? What's the scouting look like? What's the game plan going to look like? Do you and Walt Bell work together? And Walt Bell made it clear. Willie Taggart made it clear. It's Willie's dance. This is his deal on game days. He's calling plays. Now, whatever they do during the week, Walt Bell, in an answer he gave me, which you'll hear later on, isn't as sure. He doesn't know. He gave me a long-winded answer to tell me he didn't know. But I thought that was fascinating, too, because he has been told pretty clearly, and I think that process played out in the hiring, that game days he'll be in the box and Willie be calling plays.
Yeah, he said 99.9% sure, did Walt Bell, that he's going to be up in the coach's box watching the game from on high and being, Willie Taggart's eyes and ears. That dynamic, it is very much boss and employee. It's not peer to peer.
No.
But what's interesting is how are all of these relationships going to develop over time? We think that Walt Bell is a fast riser. He certainly presents as such, at least in front of a microphone and a camera. But if he's going to be here, let's just say for argument's sake, for 3 seasons, how does that dynamic change in year 3 versus right now? Is Willie trying to, for lack of a better term, break him into the way that Willie wants to run something?
Yeah.
And then once Walt has things down to a second nature, then they can talk about more, philosophical things offensively. But as for right now, as we watch football week to week, this is Willie's show. And if you're going to criticize people, I don't think you're going to lob criticisms at Walt Bell for something that you're frustrated about with the offense. Willie's more than willing to
just know this. Yeah, there's no question. He took it on yesterday. He basically has said, look, game days are my thing. I'm calling plays. And so if we have a day or a game where we don't score a lot of points, don't move the football, that's on Willie, period. And so we know that now. And these are the kinds of answers you're trying to find early in a season, early in a tenure. What is that dynamic? How do you guys work on game day? And so, Willie's press conference was uneventful as far as what he had to say, but he's been out front and talked a lot this offseason. So I wasn't surprised to see that he had basically what most coaches have to say in their first press conference as a year gets underway, which is to, in essence, note that he's excited, happy to have all the guys here, and ready to get to work. That's what all head coaches pretty much say, because they'll start to feel the weight of what's going on here. They're always pressed for time. You know, in the college game, it's true. Time is precious. You just don't have a lot of it to spend with your players. You know, in the NFL, it's their job, and you can spend, I know there are guidelines and rules, but you can spend most of your days with your players in some form, whether it's them at home, you call them, whatever it might be. If you need to get something through to a player, he's your employee. This is what you do for a living. There's no school or anything else. But these kids, they're putting in a whole new system on both sides of the ball, and time is of the essence. They've got this game looming, and so you sense it with Coach Taggart. He's excited and ready to get to work. That's what I gleaned from what he had to say yesterday.
Yeah, and I think overall for those 3 press conferences, and just to give you a picture, you could see some photos on War Chant or the news reports, but there were 4 rows of tables either side of the middle aisle. And it was packed in there with media members, TV, radio for us, and then digital people. But after all of these press conferences, we weren't the only ones who were walking out of the room saying, how about that? That is refreshing.
Yeah, more information gleaned in that one press conference than we got all of last year.
Right. I'd say the last several years in terms of transparency and authenticity. Media day, we could speak to the coordinators and the assistant coaches, and they'd give us the lowdown. But you could tell that they were heavily prepared, that there were some talking points that they were going to hit on, and they would stick to those for the most part. Now, towards the end, Randy Sanders would say whatever the hell he wanted. Brad Long could say whatever he wanted. But there was clearly a message that they were trying to get across. Willie walked out of the room when his turn was up for the press conference. He let Harlan talk about whatever he was going to talk about, and then Walt Bell talk about, whatever talking points we wanted to know on offense. It was just refreshing to hear what seemed like real people talk about their emotions, their experiences, and what makes them tick.
We're going to play the entirety of Harlan Barnett's Q&A. And the reason I chose to do that as opposed to playing the entirety of Willie Taggart's or even Walt Bell is I want you as an FSU fan or listener of this show to get a sense of how easy it would be to play for a Harlan Barnett on defense. The emotion and the way in which he carries himself and how he talks about his guys and the passion he has for coaching and being here at Florida State and what he expects of his players. And I just feel like that came across more than anything else yesterday when we were sitting in that room, that guy has a passion that would make it easy for you to want to work hard and run through fire for.
Right. There's a fury under the surface with how he delivered things. And intensity, and for defense especially.
I love it, man. I love it.
I'm not knocking Charles Kelly, anymore. He was put in a situation that was rough.
He wasn't prepared for, and he was not capable of. Yeah,
he was also soft-spoken, and you don't have to be fire and brimstone to be a good defensive coordinator. But you just like it more. It seems like a natural fit.
Well, and listen, Mickey Andrews was certainly the definition of that. But there is a passion that comes with that is undeniable. You don't have to look for it. It's on the sleeve. It is in the air.
Well, and Charles would lose his mind on game days. I mean, you'd see him, he has the pullback coach, but in a press conference setting, he's very quiet, soft-spoken, and methodical. Again, if he was successful, then nobody would care about that. But with Harlan, you're right. It's like the Eddie Gran effect. When Eddie Gran first came here under Fisher's staff, and he talked with the media for 10 or 15 minutes, you understood. You knew why he was a good recruiter. Within 2 answers, you go, holy cow, listen to this guy.
Yeah, can't wait. Yeah.
He almost sounded like Burt Reynolds in his youth. That's the kind of the cadence he had in the delivery. And you're like, my God. Same thing with both these coaches, both these coordinators yesterday. But Harlan was, for defense, you can just see how it translates to the practice field.
Yeah, and real quick, just to sum up some of what Willie had to say yesterday without having to play all of that audio, because Willie's really soft-spoken, and it doesn't play well on radio necessarily when you're in a laid-back setting like that was. In an interview setting, it's a little bit different where you're just sitting across from him. You can elicit a little bit more. But in this situation, he is really measured, and I don't mean measured as in he's trying to be coy, but just, the man naturally talks kind of like this, and we're just excited to get to work, and we feel like, it's good to see all the guys here in the building, and tomorrow it all gets underway, and it's I'm ready. I think they're ready too. Willie, I'm trying to stay awake here, my man. Let's go.
Coming up next after this quick timeout.
Yeah, it's like you guys can ask Harlan here in a second. How he thinks it's going, but I like the job he's doing so far, and Walt's doing a good job too, and the kids they've done a lot of what we asked of them. Okay, I'm gonna go to sleep now. I mean that's so we're not playing a lot of audio, but from Willie yesterday, the pertinent questions. He was asked about the relative health of his team, and there are a couple of guys that are going to be moving slow early on in camp that aren't available. He was asked about the incoming signing class. Everybody able to report? Will everybody be eligible? Irish Fell asked him that question. He said we have everybody. Actually, 2 guys won't be here probably towards the end of the week. Xavier Peters, he'll be here at the end of the week. Trayshawn Harrison will be here tomorrow. He means today.
Tonight, yeah.
Yeah, tonight. He had to go back with a family emergency, but he'll be back this evening. So those guys, he talked a little bit about the hiring of Coach Andrews and why he did it. He talked about the quarterbacks. He said, listen, quarterback competition starts right now. Everybody has the same opportunity. He also said that as far as DeAndre Francois moving back on campus, that was his idea. And in fact, here's the quote from him. He's been doing everything we've asked of him. Since his incidents, he's done things that we've asked him to do. He's handled the consequences that he had. He's moved back on campus. He's around his teammates more. He's at every workout. He's doing the things that we have asked all of those guys to do. You talk about winning the team. I don't think that's happened just over the summer. I think it's still part of the process. Not him, but with all of those guys, whether that's Blackman or Hockman, to win the team over. That's still a process. It's a work in progress. They're doing a really good job of it right now. And then, he goes on from there. He also said that, he was asked whether or not there'd be a date as to when he would like to see this settled. But they have not set a time, meaning the quarterback competition, or a date or time. He said the players will dictate that, and hopefully we'll see that pretty soon.
I thought it was interesting. He said that the quarterback battle will change day to day in terms of who gets reps with the ones. They're not afraid with after day one of camp, X player does better. You have your thoughts on who was the best.
Yeah,
today.
DeAndre Francois was better today than James Blackman was. There's no doubt he was. Now again, it's day one of practice, so. What they were doing, again, you're not in pads, you're not, this is just day one. But in the drills that we watched and in the group play, he was the better of the two today.
They're keeping everybody on their toes by saying, if you have a good day, then tomorrow, hey, you start out with the ones. Mm-hmm. That's interesting to me, that they're willing to admit that it's that dynamic. And clearly they've communicated that to the 3 quarterbacks who spoke to the media today, all had their turn. Bailey Hockman was told there's no depth chart, and it's day to day.
Yeah, and Bailey had fun with it. He talked about he could win a national championship.
Well, yeah, he said that's his expectation. Yeah.
I mean, it was great. But that was great yesterday, and again, we gleaned an awful lot. But when we come back, I'll play for you the part of the press conference with Harlan Barnett. He just was fantastic. And so we'll give you some of that here momentarily. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle.
call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely zero-turn mowers.
While you're there, check out the power of freedom. FlexVolt 60-volt tools from chainsaws to string trimmers, blowers, and even compressors. Cornerstone has the largest DeWalt selection in Tallahassee. 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon.
Attention students.
Looking for new furniture or mattresses? Call Tallahassee Furniture Direct today at 545-7112. Brand new furniture and mattresses at ridiculously low prices. Mattress sets less than $200. Bedroom sets less than $400. Living room sets less than $600. And complete apartment packages 50% below retail. Tallahassee Furniture Direct, 545-7112. Quality furniture, low prices. Delivery is available. Tallahassee Furniture Direct, 545-7112.
Here, do you need headsets?
I don't need no stinking headsets.
Well, then go. Come on, man.
All right. Hi there, Tallahassee. You know me. This is Eddie. You know, I have other restaurants in this town, Gordo's, Banditos. Well, I opened up something new. It's called Bumpa's Local 349. You may ask, what is Bumpa's Local 349? It was named after my grandfather, Bumpa. It's what we called him. Best man I ever knew. And the Local 349 was his union. And I try to bring this local flavor, this local flair of Tallahassee. I want to bring it to you, locally owned and operated. Warm, good food.
Good Lord, man, we're getting all weepy up in here. It's a cool sports pub. It's got TVs everywhere. You got every package. You got a gazillion kinds of beers and delicious food and a deck. We don't need to weep up in here. Come on, Eddie.
And we have 16 local Florida taps. Great craft beer just for you. And the best bologna sandwich you'll ever eat. It's like you just won the lotto. As Bumpa said, no matter how you cut it, it's still bologna.
Bumpa's Local 349, 2738 Capitol Circle Northeast. Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
It's time to get your chop on as our Atlanta Braves continue to roll through the big NL East battles and into the summer.
The 3-2 pitch, here it comes, and there it goes. It's fair, it's long, it's in the chop house.
Atlanta Braves baseball on 97.9 ESPN Radio is brought to you in part by Fonville, Lewis, Messer, and McConaughey, and by Metro Deli in downtown Tallahassee. Head to espntallahassee.com/Braves.
Attention students.
Looking for new furniture or mattresses? Call Tallahassee Furniture Direct today at 545-7112. Brand new furniture and mattresses at ridiculously low prices. Mattress sets less than $200. Bedroom sets less than $400. Living room sets less than $600. And complete apartment packages 50% below retail. Tallahassee Furniture Direct, 545-7112. Quality furniture, low prices. Delivery is available. Tallahassee Furniture Direct, 545-7112.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Practice back underway. Florida State practicing this morning. I was there along with a host of others covering this football team, and obviously it's good to be out there. Good to hear the whistles. Good to hear the chatter. To see the energy, and practice one is in the books. And I think it was energized and exactly what you thought it would be. We'll continue to try to gain, over time, it's easier to certainly begin to see who steps up. I think Terry's going to be a star. Can I just throw that out there again? You watch that kid, he catches everything, and he does so effortlessly. There's a fluidity to his routes. There is an athleticism for a man his size you seldom see, and he's got mitts, man. I could see him putting up huge numbers in this offense.
Well, this is where, we saw him in the open practice, and he was obviously a head turner in those moments last year. But he was one of those guys, if you were deep into following recruiting, you knew that this was a diamond in the rough. His star rating was low because he was discovered so late in the process. Mm-hmm. But the question for him that first year was, is he going to get in, grades-wise? Is the clearinghouse going to be good, and can you get him on campus? Because if you do...
He's a player.
He is a serious player.
Yeah, he is. You can see it. I've watched so many of these guys come through here, and there are guys that you just look at and you go, oh, well, that's going to work. That's what you need right there. That's going to play. And others, it's going to be a project. We'll see. It's got something to work with, but a little time. And then, these guys that you watch that I would describe as can't miss, they just make things that are very difficult look really easy. That's what those guys do. So that's an observation from today, by the way, was just, yep, that's going to work. He's going to be a star, and that is good to see. I have my concerns about Keith Gavin, but I have no concerns about Demeron Terry. He's going to be a good player. All right, on the other side of the football, Harlan Barnett has been brought in, obviously the coach of the defense. He comes over from Michigan State, and he's a guy who was a hard-nosed player. He was a hitter, man, and you can hear his enthusiasm and love of the game in his answers to these questions, to his press conference yesterday that we were at. And I thought you'd want to hear this. I thought it's a joy to listen to a guy who kind of carries the passion that you hear in these answers with him at all times, because you can see why players just can't wait to get out there and run through fire. And we have seen some pretty poor, on your heels kinds of defenses put out there the last several years. The numbers were there in some cases, but we didn't see him getting after you off the edge, which is what he's going to bring to the table here. And we certainly didn't see turnovers. I mean, we just saw nothing that lit a fire. Here's Harlan Barnett from yesterday.
Very pleased. Like Coach said, lethal simplicity, and that's why I think we mesh so well together. The guys from day one to the spring game, day 15, they really picked everything up. And the more comfortable they got with the defense, the better each individual looked. So we looked better as a defense overall. So there's still some room to grow, obviously, and some things that we still got to get better at. But very pleased with how they progressed from day 1 to day 15. As far as the summer is concerned, like Coach mentioned, we were big on teaching football IQ this summer, understanding certain things about offenses in certain situations, because we are so simple. The reason we stay simple on defense is so they're not thinking about their job as much as, I know my job. Now, how are these guys trying to attack us? Or how are they trying to attack me individually? And so that's something we were teaching them, football IQ this summer, and we feel very good about it. And we're going to see the results of it hopefully on this week, tomorrow, starting with tomorrow.
I'll stay up front and go with Brendan. Hey, Coach, what was it like when you first heard from Florida State? And obviously you had a good job at a place that you love. What made you decide Florida State was a fit for you, worth taking the jump?
Well, and I told the story over and over so many times, I got it locked down, but I'll give it again real quick to you guys. But at Michigan State, 2016, 3-9, bad year, our worst year up there. And so we come back 2017, and we're all focused, ready to get it done. We just changed some things up, how we practice, and just like this, that, and other. Go 9-3 in the regular season, so we totally flipped the record. And then we go out to San Diego and play in the Holiday Bowl and beat Washington State and go 10-3. That night after the game, I get a text from Coach Woody. That was the one guy I knew on Coach Taggart's staff from when he was a head high school coach in Palmetto. I used to recruit down there, and we had a relationship that way. He texted me, called me, important. I still got it on my phone. I'm never going to erase it. Called me, important. I'm like, man, they didn't congratulate us on the win, man. We won. I forget it, man. Whatever. So this is late at night. This is like midnight because it was out there in San Diego, Pacific time, and the game was a night game. So, it was late. And I said, no, I ain't. So the next day, we're set to fly out. We're actually on the tarmac, getting on the plane, and they dwanning everybody. And so my wife and I get on the plane. I get the same text from Coach Woody. Call me, important. So I called him. I said, what's going on? Hey, man, Coach Taggart would like to know if you'd like to interview for the Florida State defensive coordinator job. What? And my mind had already went into shutdown. We went from 3-9 to 10-3, and we about to have about 10 days off. I'm about to go home and relax. Now it's back into, whoa, okay. I said, hey, can you have Coach Taggart just call me tomorrow after 10 a.m.? Let me sleep in a little bit. Sure enough, Coach Taggart called me the next day. I said, yeah, I wanted to come down and interview. I did so. And on his way driving me back to the airport, Coach Taggart kind of nonchalantly just said, hey, well, what we can do for you is this. I'm like, is he offering me the job? I think he is, And so it went from there. I always told Coach D'Antonio that I would keep him informed on every step of the way. I think that's the right thing to do. Not that I had to do it, but I think it's the right thing to do. And I told him what was going on, and I went back and met with him, and my wife and I talked about it, and then I said, well, I'll have a decision the next day. And that night, I wrestled on it. I'm a spiritual person, so I'm praying on it. Nothing. I wake up the next morning, and I'm like, wow, this is tough. And so as I was getting out the shower that next morning, right before I was going to make the calls, I was reminded of something I felt that God had spoken to me the year before, and I only told my wife this at the time, and this is how I made my decision. And he said, this coming year, this is after the 3-9 year, I felt he said this to me, this coming year is going to be your last year at Michigan State. And that was brought back to my remembrance, and that's how I made my decision. And so I had to let everybody know Coach Taggart was fired. He wouldn't even let me call him. I said, I'll call you back and let you. He called me first. I'm like, hey, Coach. So I told him, I'm coming, and he was fired up. I was fired up. And then I had, I was going to call Coach D'Antonio before him, but he called me before I could call him. And I ended up calling Coach D and letting him know. And I think he was more sad than mad because we had been together for 14 years. But it was a chance for me to stretch myself. Obviously, I was co-defensive coordinator up at Michigan State and defensive coordinator here, and just a chance for me to stretch myself. It was nothing more than that. And then, feeling like I was led to be here.
We'll go back left for Jeff.
Coach, in looking at last year's defensive tape from Florida State, how much of it have you been able to do, and what did that reveal?
I've been able to watch a lot of it. And they're different. They were different than us. They were more of a 3-4 type team. The D-line were more, head up with some, And so we go to a 4-3, and that's not a knock. It's, I always say there's only one way to do something. That's the right way, but there's more than one right way. And so that's what they do. They've been successful in that defense before. But we're a 4-3. We're going to get after you. We're going to have our ends on the edge, have our backers reading and playing downhill fast. And if the formation dictates, we'll have our safeties downhill as well. Because the number one thing is that we want to do is stop the run. And so I saw what I did see from last year's defense is some dudes here. They got some good players here that can execute what we want to try to do, and they started showing that in the spring, and hopefully it'll continue this fall camp.
We'll go to Tashawn on your right.
Coach, have you noticed any differences between having the role as co-defensive coordinator versus being the only defensive coordinator, and how's that transition been so far?
We truly tried to share the roles up at Michigan State, Mike Tressel and myself, and other than game day, I called the defense, and but other than that, I pick up a few more duties, obviously, because we were splitting some of those. But other than that, and it's not a tough thing, it's just a matter of organizing yourself and getting things, done in a set schedule and preparing yourself the right way. So got a lot of help here as well. in our defensive staff that's helping me out, and it hasn't been a hard transition.
Stay on the right, go to Tim.
Coach, I just wonder what you could tell us about Coach Snyder. What was he like working with Michigan State, and what made you want to have him on your staff here?
Coach Snyder is a veteran coach. As he mentioned to us, he said over the vacation break, his wife mentioned to him, "Hey, you're about to go into your 29th year coaching," and he brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the game. Obviously, been a coordinator at major Division I schools and a head coach. So what he did, one of the big things for us flipping that season from 2016 to 17 at Michigan State was he came in as our linebacker coach the first 2 years, and then we moved him to DN coach. So we had a DN coach and a D tackle coach, same way we're doing it here, and Tressel went back to linebackers, and I totally believe that changed our whole season, our whole defense around. And he does a great job of getting to know the kids and teaching them the entire defense. Like the defensive ends, they not only know their spot, they know everybody. They know the coverage, they know everything, how everything fits, and that's a testament to him and how he coaches those guys.
Go to Kurt, right beside Tim.
Hey, Coach. Kind of a traditional defense. They lost 7 starters off last year's team, but there's a lot of really young, talented guys. I mean, like, what have you seen, especially from the sophomores and Hamza, Stanford, and Cyrus? I mean, what did they show you this spring? And I mean, what have you?
They showed me that they had a lot of great ability, man. Great ball skills. They can run. They're tough, physical, and that's what we're looking for. And so my job is, and because you mentioned DBs, all 3 of those guys are defensive backs, is to get those guys to play with technique consistently, bent knees, looking at the right thing, and that's my job to get that done. And I think they appreciate that as well. And so I'm going to be hard on them, as hard as I can be on them, to get them to execute that part of their game, to elevate their games in that way. They have the natural ability. Now it's doing all the little things right, the fundamental things, and that'll be the main focus this fall camp.
We'll go to Ryan, second row on the right.
Coach, I know you said you had a chance to look over a little bit of film before you got hands-on with the guys, but was there something that once you got to be with them over spring that really kind of surprised you that maybe you didn't expect out of your group?
You know what? As we went through spring, I'm like, man, there's some dudes here, man. You know, no disrespect to Michigan State, not at all. Obviously, it's my alma mater, but it's some dudes down here, man. Guys that jumped out at you and had really good springs. Brian Burns, that's a dude, man. That's a dude. Still haven't seen Josh Kando yet. You know, he didn't go through spring, but I'm hearing how much of a dude he is. And that's just one guy. I mean, there's multiple guys. Janoris Robertson really stepped up his game according to what others had said about him. Because we were hearing all this stuff, but now I'm seeing other things. I'm like, I know what y'all was saying, but this dude is a good player. Kyle Myers, good player. A.J. Westbrook. I mean, I could go on and on. D-Jack, good players. A lot of good players that really bought into what we were asking them to do, and I think they appreciate the simplicity of our defense and being able to not only know what they have to do, like I said earlier, but understand how the offense is trying to attack us.
We'll go on the lane in the very back.
One of the hallmarks of your Michigan State defenses seem to be the way that players swarm to the ball. How important is that aggressiveness of getting 11 guys to the ball to what you do?
Extremely important. It helps cover up mistakes. If someone misses a tackle, I mean, they have guys on scholarship as well. You got another guy that's coming to clean it up. And our main thing is if something like that did happen, if you miss it the right way, understanding leverage and things of that nature. But flying to the ball, there's no substitute. That's the hallmark of a defense, I think. And you can watch it, and we should be flying around to the ball. We want getting hats to the ball and making the offense say, hey, man, I do not want to run the ball.
We'll go Joe back here in the front.
Marlon, when it comes to your defensive philosophy and the scheme, how much of it is what you learned from Mark or just to learning from Nick as a player and coach and maybe from Belichick also?
All of it is kind of intertwined, to be honest with you. I try to take pieces from the different places I've been and the different coaches I've been around. But the defense itself, Pat Narduzzi, head coach at Pitt, when Coach D'Antonio put us together in 2004 at the University of Cincinnati, myself, Mike Tressel, and at the time our D-line coach was Ted Gill, we all were from different places, and we came together with Pat, and this is a defense that he had been running for the most part, and we've tweaked it over the years and made it fit to how we do what we do, to where now you're seeing the product that's out there. And, we've been able to, have successful defenses because of it. And, we always focus on number one thing is to stop the run. That's the number one thing for a defensive football team is to stop the run. And I think Walt would say the number one thing for offense is run the football. So we're going to focus on that and try to make them one-dimensional, and then after that you go from there. But it's a defense that was formulated over the last 14 years of us running it, seeing all the ins and outs of it, and understanding, people trying to attack you this way or that way. We figure all that stuff out over the last 14 years. We felt now there's going to be other ways people are going to try to attack us down here, I'm sure, and we'll try to figure those out as well.
Go Corey, second row on the left.
Harlan, you talked about football IQ. What is Jaden Woodby's football IQ? And is he somebody that even as a true freshman you imagine can make an impact this season?
It's extremely high. His football IQ is extremely high, and it's not so much of what he had already known, but because he puts so much hard work in, he's so diligent in everything that he does, he's raised it to a level that, because he's like, man, I didn't know that. But he knows it now, and you better believe he knows it. So it's extremely high now. I think if you ask him, he said it's better than what it was before he first got here, and we want to continue to take him to that. He's one of those guys that can't get enough. He can't get enough of football. He can't get enough, and he's a goal-oriented person, and you would love to have a team full of that guy.
And going back to the car ride to the airport with Willie, how did you finally determine, he did just offer me the job?
Because actually when I got back home that night, because again, that's 2 times I said, I'll call you, and he called me first. So I got back home that evening after leaving here, and he called me, and then he started talking more specific in those terms. I'd like to offer you the job. And you see what I'm saying? So that's a good question, but he got more specific with it, and it just went from there.
Gene?
Coach, I assume you've had a chance to peek a little bit ahead at some of the opponents, especially in the ACC, Florida State's going to face this year. How are they different that you've seen maybe than what you saw in the Big Ten? And then if they're a little different, how may that change how you approach things, both schematically or philosophically?
Well, a lot of these teams are offenses across the country, even in the Big Ten. I know, there's some type of thought process towards how Big Ten football is, but there are a lot of teams that try to do some of the things that are done in the ACC, believe it or not. A lot of teams are going to what we call blue personnel or 11 personnel. 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. A lot of teams are going to that, and we saw that in the Big Ten as well. You see that with Penn State, Indiana, Ohio State. And people going fast and all that kind of stuff. So we've felt like the defense has gone against these type of teams over and over the years, and feel like we got some answers to the things they like to do. It's great that our offense goes fast, because that's the thing everybody tries to do now and wear you out. So at Michigan State, we had to get our scout team to understand this is fast, because we didn't go that fast, right? So we had to get our scout. Now, when we go scout team, they understand the tempo of it. So that will really help us out. That was serving as an advantage to us, I think, this year, just because it's what we already do here.
We'll go Aslan, back right corner.
Yeah, hey, Coach, you mentioned 4-3, I guess, is your kind of base. Is it 3 of what we would consider traditional linebackers, or one of those guys going to be more of a hybrid? Also, I guess to that degree, are you a cover 3 pattern matching kind of guy in terms of what you guys are going to run, basically?
I wouldn't say cover 3. If I said that, anybody that knows us, they'd be laughing, saying he's lying. No, we're gonna. That guy is what I tell all the people all the time. The star linebacker for us, he's like an old school strong safety. Is kind of what I think. I think the old school strong safety doesn't exist anymore, not in the type of defense that we're trying to run. The big old guy, the David Fulchers of the world, Steve Atwater type guys, because everybody has to be able to run, cover, and tackle. Everybody in the secondary, I believe. And so when you talk about, is he playing corner, what you recruiting him as a corner or a safety, I'm saying DB now. And that philosophy of mine has just changed since being here. You got to be able to run, cover, and tackle everybody. And so we look for guys to be able to do that. And we feel like we got some guys here that can do that because it's just such a big space game nowadays. And so you got to be able to cover yourself in space. Hopefully I answered your question.
Coach, at times last season and seasons before, once this team had a turnover or a mishap on defense, they started to pile up. They started to lose their confidence a little bit. When these things kind of happen, in camp and during games this season, what are some things that you're going to do to try to bring them back to square one?
We'll talk about it prior to. We've been talking about it. Adverse situations. When adversity hits, how are we going to handle it? So handling adversity. And we've been talking about it over and over and over. Obviously in camp is one of the most adverse times for everybody involved. It gets to be long. It's long days. It gets to be day 10. And this is something I've always said since I've been coaching. Day 1, everybody fired up, flying around, looking good. Okay, you get to day 10, you got a fingernail hurt, an elbow sore. Who's going to still be showing up now? Okay, you get to day 20. Who's still showing up, getting it done? And some of these injuries that you get in camp, you have for the rest of the year in football. And I just remember that as a player. So what are you going to do to be able to push through? And that's how we've been talking to them, just handling adverse situations. I'm sure Coach Tagg will be putting us in adverse situations where our guy think he made a play, and he say, no, it's really a first down offense. How are we going to handle that? So we talk to them about it so they're prepared and everybody don't get to whining and complaining to one another and just line up and play.
We've got time for a couple more. We'll go with Wayne right here.
Coach, the linebacker position lost all 3 starters from last year. Just what did you think from that unit in the spring, and just how excited are you for the young guys?
I think it's a unit that doesn't have a lot of depth right now, but that has really stepped up. And they understand. They hear all the talk about linebackers this, linebacker that. So they've taken it as a personal challenge, I think, with a chip on their shoulder type thing, and they're coming to play. They know what they need to do to get it done. And so I'm excited about the guys, all of them. I really am. And again, because of how we play and their understanding of the defense, it allows them to play fast, physical, and aggressive.
All right, last one, Ira, over here on your left.
Coach Barnett, Coach Taggart talked about having Coach Bowden around, and he didn't see that as a negative, having a former coach around. Obviously, Mickey Andrews is kind of a legend around here as well. How has it been just talking to him, meeting him, and what do you look forward to from that relationship?
Wisdom. I love it, man. The first time I met him, he came by here maybe in February or something because all they taught, Mickey Andrews is that guy around here, right? First thing I said, Coach, you got to give us some wisdom. Give us some wisdom, because I glean on that type of stuff. And I just wrote down, I'm not going to share what he said, but I wrote it down and I got it in my notes. So then when this came about and Coach Taggart said he wanted to bring him on, I said, awesome. That's awesome. There's nothing like getting that wisdom. I'm always trying to pull wisdom from older people that have experienced things that I have not, and because you can learn from their mistakes and their successes. And so I think it's big time. I'm fired up about it. I really am.
I think everybody is. That was Harlan Barnett yesterday. Good 20 minutes with him. But you can hear it, the enthusiasm. You can hear the passion for what he does. I think that comes across. So, again, I'm actually most interested in what we're all interested in, productivity. Can we get to the damn quarterback? We spent a lot of time setting the edge with the last defense, and I understand that's important, and you need to be able to do that. But we rarely, if ever, saw guys in positions to pin their ears and get after the quarterback when they had down and distance leverage.
Well, and it seemed like in a lot of the situations defensively that when we played it that way schematically, we're setting up for the linebackers to have the payoff. But even Barnett was willing to say yesterday, we're thin at linebackers.
Yeah,
so you know what? Let's let the D-line do what it needs to do and then bring the star into the fold closer to the line of scrimmage.
And as he noted, they've got some dudes to do that. I was watching Brian Burns this morning very closely because I interviewed him at the ACC kickoff in Charlotte, and he's a guy that talked about learning from past mistakes and last season being a lesson for him because he needed to mature. He admitted that. He needed to really get specific and be detail-oriented about preparation. And that included everything from resting properly, eating properly, to technique, and a day-to-day effort to better in every aspect of what you do as a football player. And he understood that. He felt like it was lacking a year ago because I asked him why it was. He didn't have the kind of season he projected. Remember, it was last year that he talked about he was going to lead the nation in sacks, and that certainly didn't happen. He wasn't close, didn't even amass double-digit sacks. So I wanted to watch how he took on practice today, and he looked focused. And you've got guys now that I think can make plays off the edge. It'll be interesting to see what kind of season he has.
Well, it's interesting with Harlan, too, just his demeanor in the press conference. It shows you a couple of things. Like I said earlier, there's like a fury underneath the surface. You can see it. You can envision him getting mad.
Oh, very easily.
He's very thoughtful. He's a very thoughtful coordinator. There were some little nuggets he threw out there from time to time in that 20 minutes where you go, oh, well, that's a different way to think about it. It always is going to happen, if you're a fan or a media member and things are done one way and then they're communicated to you a different way. It's going to seem like a eureka, a moment of insight. Mm-hmm. Whereas to Michigan State fans, I'm sure everything he says is like, he says what he says. But, really, the idea of coaching things simple so you can think about what the offense is doing to you. I already know what my job is going to be, so let's not worry about the depth of where I'm going to be before the snap. How many times? Tavares McFadden last year, we're looking at depth pre-snap, looking over the sidelines. They move them back, they move them up. The blitz against Miami, we telegraphed the blitz. There's just so much it looks like that was swimming in between his ears that he forgot to go play the game. And with us now, the way it looks like with Barnett is, you already know what you're supposed to do. Now go think about what they're doing to you so you have a fair fighting chance here.
Athletes have to be able to utilize speed, strength, explosiveness without having to plod, without having to think about each step, right? If you want, that's what ideally you're trying to get, is to learn something so well and so thoroughly as you do not have to think about what you're doing. Over the last 2 to 3 years, it has felt an awful lot like some of our best athletes are frequently in positions in which they're having to think an awful lot. And again, this isn't a commentary on the relative intelligence of a football player or kids we've had. It's about putting athletes in space on both sides of the ball and letting them make plays. Flying around to the football, as he put it. Defensive passion is mandatory. That's a tough thing to do, tackle people, and you got to have a whole hell of a lot of want to, and you need to be able to play downhill. But if you're thinking about every step you take and what you have in terms of multiple responsibilities, you can get bogged down. And so I don't think that's going to be the case here. Certainly, this is as straightforward as they come. But then again, Mickey Andrews ran one of the more basic defenses you'll ever see, and those guys made play after play after play because we had better guys. We had more dudes. And we joke about that all the time, right? That's just true across the board. Randy Moss can tell me the exact route he's running. I can't do anything about it. So if you got better players, you don't need to complicate things.
Well, the only thing you got is a front row seat is what you got.
Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Yeah.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle.
call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
And the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Seaquarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
This is Sarah with Seminole Auto Glass. If hail or debris from the recent storm did damage to your vehicle, contact Seminole Glass today at 850-539-4527. We'll take care of everything for you with mobile service and a lifetime warranty. We're in network with your insurance and it's your choice, so choose the local company you know and trust. Seminole Auto Glass, 850-539-4527 or at SeminoleAutoGlass.com because no one takes care of your car like Seminole Auto Glass.
Hey, I'm Jeff Doxey, Realtor for Capital Property Consultants, representing Premier Fine Homes. If you're thinking of owning your own brand new Premier home, call or text me at 850-545-4747 or email me, jeffdoxey1@gmail.com. You say where, I'll be there. Your Canopy Connection.
Are you looking for a trucking company you can work with till retirement? Do you want to feel like you're part of a family instead of just a truck number? If so, join the Early Trucking family that's been trucking for 25 years. ETC offers a benefit package that's second to none, including a 401k, paid vacations, sick leave, health insurance, Aflac group rates, and long-term care with only 2 health questions and a $1,000 signing bonus. They have regional dry van, hopper, and tanker lines available, home every weekend or more. Go to earlytruckingcompany.com to fill out an application. Help ETC keep agriculture in motion.
Now you can get a great looking cut in less time every time with an Exmark. The Mowers Landscape Pros trust 2-to-1 over the next best-selling brand of mowers. When you buy your Exmark mower from Southern Harvest Equipment, you are guaranteed a great price. Nobody sells Exmark mowers for less, and currently select commercial mowers are 15% off commercial sales price while supplies last. You can also receive 0% financing. Find the Exmark that's right for you at Southern Harvest Equipment, located at 408 Wiggum Dairy Road in Bainbridge, Georgia. Exmark, ready to work for you.
Driving every day from the AmeriGas studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. At this hour, ESPN's Josina Anderson reports the agent for Giants receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has left the New York area with no deal in place after face-to-face meetings with the team last week. The Giants currently valuing Beckham at a total average annual value below that of Chiefs receiver Sammy Watkins, his AAV $16 million in his current deal. From ESPN's Diana Rossini, the Browns plan for quarterback Baker Mayfield, the top overall pick in this year's draft, to play 2 quarters against the Giants in the team's first preseason game on Thursday night. Source told ESPN's Adam Schefter, Jets rookie quarterback Sam Darnold has a very fair shot of winning the starting job for the regular season opener. Bengals linebacker Vontaze Burfict passed his physical and he returned to practice from a hamstring issue. Burfict will begin the season with a 4-game suspension for violating the PED policy. Ohio State announced the investigation of football coach Urban Meyer's handling of a domestic violence complaint against a former assistant is expected to be completed within 14 days. The likely outcome is that Meyer remains in Columbus, believes ESPN's Paul Feinbaum.
It sounds like the university may have decided Urban is going to stay. We just have to work backwards and figure out how to maneuver and manipulate, because the public, meaning the Ohio State fans, went from just being distraught on Wednesday and Thursday, thinking Urban would be gone, to after reading Urban's statement Friday night, saying, you know what, maybe we can figure out a way to save him.
Paul Feinbaum on Golick and Wingo. Lance Lynn set to make his first Yankees start tonight against the White Sox, 8 Eastern, ESPN TV. NASCAR Chairman Brian France released from custody today, one day after his arrest for DUI and criminal possession of a controlled substance. Police said they found oxycodone pills in France's possession.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
To Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man, is it a busy time. Good time. Love when, it's always feeling like, there's always this feeling like you're building to this moment, and then the moment's on you. And you were longing for it, the start of football. But then when it hits you hard, because there's a lot of work to be done. It's a labor of love. It's good stuff. But we're at practices. We were at interviews yesterday. I'll be at practice again tomorrow. I know you will be. You're trying to glean a lot, and you're also show prepping and all that good stuff. But we got a lot of events coming up, too. You'll hear the fan retreat stuff that we're doing on the airwaves here. There's an ad running with my voice on it, as well as in the podcast that will tell you about the big show event, listener appreciation event, which we're going to be doing Sunday on the 2nd of September from 4 to 7:30. And, that's a fun event every year. We'll have your shirts and the stuff that we always have. If you go to fanretreat.com right now and get signed up there, it's a worthwhile thing anyhow. You get a free beer, so that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, and we're going to have the prize list. We'll announce some of those things this week, some of the businesses and sponsors of the Cameron Show that have come on board and said for the raffle at the end of the night.
Absolutely.
Here's what you get. The cool thing is I think we're going to get a different wave of people, an extra wave. You get the usuals and the locals, which we love here in Tallahassee, but there are a lot of people who do listen digitally, and they say
all over the country,
every year that they wish they could attend the listener appreciation party. Here's your chance. And at the end of the night, everybody from Tallahassee knows this, but everybody who walks in gets a ticket. We could be out of T-shirts, but you're still going to get a ticket, and that ticket is for the raffle at the end of the night. And there's tons of stuff that we're going to be giving away.
Really cool stuff that we do every year. So it's always a pleasure to see everybody. This year will be no different. It will just be bigger. It will be fantastic. So we're going to sit around and watch that Miami LSU game, too.
That's what we're ending with the raffle, and by 7:30 we'll be out, and us Noles can watch and root against the Canes together.
Unified front right there, buddy. Everybody in that facility, that building, that bar will be pulling, I think, for LSU. Big year for Ed Orgeron. Plenty of talent at LSU. Can't be out here losing 4 and 5. Can't be out here losing to Troy.
Yeah.
Lest we forget they lost to Troy last year, Tom.
So, Willie Taggart is going to run out of the tunnel going, all right, here we go. Mm-hmm. And Coach O will be like, okay.
That's how he runs. That's how he talks. That's what he does. So that's how he'll be running out of the tunnel.
I've never heard that one before.
I reached down deep for that one.
You did. That was like your Hansel from Zoolander moment.
No, it was out there. North Carolina's not off to a good start. They've suspended 13 players for selling team-issued shoes. They were going to suck anyhow, but that's not how you want to start. Offensive lineman Brian Anderson, defensive end Malik Carney, wide receiver Bo Corals, defensive end Tavon Fox, defensive end. Good Lord, with the defensive ends. These guys got these shoes and couldn't wait to sell them. All right, where are my defensive ends? Over here. All right, as soon as he throws these shoes out, we're all going to sell them. Let's go. Tyrone Hopper, offensive lineman, Koron Johnson, linebacker Malik Robinson, quarterback Chaz Surratt. Offensive lineman Jordan Tucker will all sit out 4 games. Defensive backs Greg Ross, Trey Shaw, forced to miss 2 games, and Jack Davidson, quarterback, offensive lineman Jonah Melton, will serve a 1-game suspension. I wonder what the difference was. I wonder, the ends, all of them get 4 games. Some of these other guys get 2, some get 1. Was it the number of shoes that they sold?
Maybe the guy who got 1 was the dude who's in charge of the Craigslist post. He didn't sell anything. He just did the post.
He just did the post, yeah. I am upset by our players' actions and how their choices reflect on them, our program, and the university, said Larry Fedora. Then he cited some crazy stuff that Trumpians laughed and thought was absolutely accurate. These young men knew the rules and are being held responsible for the poor choices they have made. Oh, and football is what holds this country together. He didn't say that, but he wanted to.
He did go with they embarrassed themselves before the university. Wouldn't you usually go with the university first? Like the university, our program, and themselves?
It's on them, Tom. It's on them.
Yeah.
It is on them, though. They did. I've always felt that. Like I hate that it does reflect on your school, but I always feel bad because it's truth. You can't be everywhere at all times. Coaches have a tough deal, man. And all you can do is tell kids to do the right thing, and you can try to instill those values and tell everybody about it over and over again and hope like hell they listen, but a lot of people.
Listen, man, I'm Larry Fedora. I got a lot of creatine that I need to make sure I hydrate with, and then I got some working out to do, and then I got film, and then I got creatine, and then I got film, and then that's about it. That's my day. It's a good day.
Another workout, and then we go out and
you're here telling
me
me
a bunch of games
that you're just, slinging some shoes. What the hell?
They open, by the way, at Cal, and I feel like they do always. Doesn't it feel like they've been at Cal to start the season for years? I know that's not true, but it feels that way.
Yeah, it feels like their band ran on the field, right?
It's been that long.
Cal.
It's been that long. It's nuts. It's the only thing Cal's ever been known for. Like, we don't even think of Aaron Rodgers.
No, it's like, you think of Tedford before you think Aaron Rodgers.
It's weird, right? Speaking of quarterbacks, but very different quarterbacks, Johnny Manziel is out here getting picked off every time he throws the football in a CFL game. 4 interceptions in his debut in the first half alone. My man. Well, I don't know why we suddenly thought he'd be better. Wasn't like he was any good from the get-go. But, man, that's a brutal start. They get beat 55-11?
I mean, he's got to have a fighting chance in Canada. He's got to. He beat Oklahoma. I mean, you could beat some teams in Canada.
Did you know? This is crazy. With the score 47-3 in favor of Hamilton in the opening minutes of the fourth quarter, Manziel was replaced by Vernon Adams Jr. Manziel completed 11 of 20 passes for 104 yards. 104 yards. He played 3 full quarters in a Canadian Football League game where the field is huge. What in the world?
Well, I mean, maybe they were just outgunned as a team. He didn't have a prayer.
But did you know this? And this is really the story. This was against Jerry Glanville's defense. Jerry Glanville is alive and coaching football in Canada. Did anybody have any idea?
That can't be that Jerry Glanville.
It is that Jerry Glanville. Did you have any idea? I did not.
No.
Not until this moment. That was Jerry Glanville's defense that he was throwing against. Not exactly stout. He's alive. I didn't know he was alive.
No.
He's coaching football.
Next thing you tell me, Michael Clark Duncan's on special teams.
Oh, that can't. He's dead, Tom. He can't be on special teams.
I choose to believe otherwise, Jeff.
Somewhere in Canada, he's playing football.
Yeah.
He just chose to walk away from Hollywood and not do movies anymore.
That's right.
I'm going to go play Canadian football. Screw it.
Or coach it. Yeah.
Yeah, or coach it. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he'd be a good quality control coach.
That's a big man.
Yeah.
Well, was. He's dead.
That's like, damn. That's like that guy from Georgia Tech. Remember that dude on the sideline?
Yes.
That year that we
oh,
lost?
my God. That guy was menacing.
Yes.
I have never seen a scarier looking dude. Remember that?
Yeah.
we were looking at a picture, and I went, "Who the hell is that
right,
guy?"
on the sidelines.
Good Lord. If they can suit him up, they're in good shape.
As Everett Golson was not performing well, they kept cutting to the Georgia Tech sidelines, and that guy was just prominent. He was, I mean, if you didn't have the HD TVs and the old box TVs, maybe you wouldn't have seen him, but he was in the edge of the picture, and he stole the show. That dude against the Michigan fan from the Orange Bowl. Remember that Jack dude in the front row?
Yeah.
There you go. That's a
good fight.
That's a title fight.
I interviewed Dan Murphy over the weekend. He is the ESPN reporter who sat down with Zach Smith, the assistant coach at Ohio State that was fired recently. And I thought it was fascinating. I asked what was that interview like in person. It certainly came across as if he was skittish, nervous. All of those things would be understandable, yes. And he said yes, but he also said something very significant, which I find fascinating because this will be, I would think, pretty easily provable or not, that he's never physically abused his wife, is what he said.
That's correct. Yeah. He did say that clear as day.
So those pictures of lacerations and bruises and cuts and all of that, I mean, I suppose there's a chance that that he's telling the truth and that she's wackadoo. Or no, he beat the hell out of his wife.
Well,
I'm leaning with he beat the hell out of his wife, but that is an interesting approach, right? I'm going to take the approach of never touched her, didn't do anything.
Right, and that's as far back as 2009?
Yep.
When Urban's getting involved.
And got involved and said, go get counseling.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says any marks that she was able to show the police were brought about by him defending himself.
I see. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, he's never struck his wife, and he has never physically abused his ex-wife, according to him. That was not the take I thought we were going to get from Zach Smith.
You would think Urban would have a different stance on 2009, if that were the case. Because it seems to me that Urban wants to defend Zach Smith to the end, right?
Well, he did until he couldn't.
But what I'm saying is, don't you think that as he was recounting the 2009 situation at Big Ten Media Days, that he would perhaps say, and there's more to that story than you even know, rather than I told him to get counseling?
Yeah.
Don't you think he'd probably bring that up?
I do. I find all of this fascinating. It does look like it's going to go the route now where Urban Meyer, if they can do it, will keep his job. And this would be, despite what I think is fairly obvious and tough to avoid realities, which is that he knew of the abuse and kept him on his staff.
You think they're going to do that?
I do. I'm starting to think that way. That statement he issued when we were getting ready to go off the air last week is him, I think, getting his heels in the ground, man. That's a guy saying, I'm sticking around. He basically owns the fact that he lied. He doesn't basically. He owns the fact that he lied at Big Ten Media Days. It's not just that he lied, though. He was condescending and dismissive. He called into question, basically by doing so, Brett McMurphy's integrity, honesty, work ethic, you name it. It's something a lot of these bullies do. It's unfortunate. It's an ugly reality that guys with that much power frequently exercise that kind of belittling and dismissive attitude towards reporters. It's kind of strange, though, in this case, because he did know. He did know. It's one thing to say you got caught off guard, but that's not true.
I think the hard part
he could not
here,
have gotten caught off guard. Zach Smith had just already been fired.
Well, and what we had talked about last week is Urban was more than willing to speak about interactions with Gene Smith and how close they are. And then Zach Smith, in his SportsCenter availability, said that Gene knew about it, and yet that person has not released his own official statement of what happened. And I wonder, that means probably one of two things. What you're talking about is one scenario where Urban keeps his job, or this independent commission is going to come to the conclusion that they both need to go. You know what I mean?
Could be a number of people that have to be fired,
right?
Depending on how many of them knew and allowed for the man to stay in place. If he truly turned a blind eye to spousal abuse and remained on your staff because you did that, then yes, I would think it's hard to keep your job. But I don't know, man. I think we've seen worse things, and people have survived it somehow. It's at times these guys are immune.
From the news story perspective, 14 days is what they said that they were going to be able to wrap this investigation up with. The independent investigators, 14 days. So I guess by, the 18th, 20th of August, depending upon when the clock started, we'll have our answer.
I think that's what you would desire. 4 weeks from Saturday, Ohio State, from this past Saturday, Ohio State has their first game. So obviously time is of the essence, but in an investigation like that, you can't let that be what dictates the timeline. It's a football game. You're dealing with something much greater than a football game, and you better have the facts. There are lawsuits that will be forthcoming, I have a sense here, from maybe multiple people.
No matter what direction
no matter which direction you go. So they got to get it right is the most important thing. They got to find out exactly what went down here. For Meyer's part, that statement in a lot of ways puts Gene Smith in the crosshairs. It's Gene Smith, right?
Yeah, Gene Smith.
Yeah, there's a Zach Smith and a Gene Smith.
No, I agree. To me, I thought it was him posturing for not being able to be fired with cause.
Oh, $40 million is in play here, yes.
I thought the primary purpose of it was that, and then it also simultaneously serves as a Hail Mary to maybe I get back on the staff. I thought that's what, to me, it's about Ohio State. Do you really want to battle my lawyers here in a protracted court system about how much money you owe me? Because you're not just going to tell me to go pound sand for $0. I thought it was a negotiation tactic.
I don't think there's any question the aspect of the $40 million that would be owed is in question here, if in fact that's an arrangement that needs to be worked out as to how much of that $40 million he'll take to walk. Sure, in Ohio State. But also I do think when you hear him say that, or what he does say in that statement, that I went to my superiors, I followed protocol. Okay, well, now that's interesting. Did you go to the athletic director and say, hey, I've got a guy on my staff who his wife is accusing of domestic violence. The police are involved, and you guys decide what you want to do. Now, I mean, that's passing the buck. First of all, if you're the head coach and you think that there's any validity to those charges, you fire that man instantly because, of course, that's what you do as a human being. You're not going to allow that guy to be on your staff.
And that's why, from a PR perspective, I don't know that Ohio State can even come back and say that he's the right man to lead our program, even if there's not enough to tie him to something along the lines
But here's what it's setting up as. I mean, Zach Smith is straight up saying, I didn't do this. I've never abused her. And if they can't prove that he did, or if there is no proof that he did, and those pictures are whatever they are, I don't know how they're going to explain that away, but Urban can then say, well, my man was never charged with a crime, and he says he didn't do it.
Yeah, the important thing is, I don't know if they can do it. E-discovery, right? That's going to be important. Brett McMurphy claimed after the Zach Smith interview that he has a text, and he put the screenshot out of Zach talking to Courtney.
In which he's apologizing for strangling her.
Yes. If you can prove that through e-discovery that is in fact accurate.
Yeah, then we're done here.
Yeah. Then I think everybody's done.
But then again, I mean, honestly, listen, I think we're dealing with some really slimeball stuff here. Urban Meyer clearly kept this guy and protected this guy on his staff in the wake of pretty serious allegations, and maybe more than that, maybe more than allegations. Maybe he knew of this abuse. That's what's at the root of this. We're trying to figure out exactly how much did he know. But he can say if, again, he went to Gene Smith, and if Gene Smith and them were, and the other members of the athletic department talked to the police involved in this case, and the police told them there were going to be no charges filed, we don't think there's anything here, Urban is going to be able to say, well, why would I fire a guy who was not charged with a crime, and the police told our athletic director there was nothing to this.
Yeah.
Now, we know.
Yes, common sense dictates that in 2009 there's an issue, and you're going to hide behind there are no charges in 2015. There were no charges in 2009 because you got her to drop the damn charges.
Right. But the point would be, if he's digging in for the $40 million
Yes.
and wants to remain on staff, and Ohio State wants him to remain on staff, that's what they're going to use. They're going to say, hey, now listen, that's just if they want to do business that way, right? I mean, we know what Urban Meyer is.
That is a hit and a half. They would have to have serious discussions about, from a PR marketing standpoint, do we really want this? Is it worth it to us?
Oh, I don't think it is, and I think they should fire him. I think that they probably could with cause once they show that he knew. But, man, there's a lot of money involved here, and it's sad. It's sad. There's a human cost in all this, but it gets lost. It's trumped by the money.
Yes, there absolutely is a human cost. But what's fascinating, if you can allow that word for a moment to me, is so clearly Zach is backing Urban, and they're sticking together.
Of course he is, because Urban has had his back in the wake of him beating his wife.
Is Gene, though? He's the key. I think he's the key here. Is he being silent because the university says, shut your mouth, we're investigating this, and don't say a word?
Absolutely, and he should be.
Or is he being silent to help Urban? You know what I mean? Like, when he's allowed to speak, what's he going to say and who's he going to back? That's a really, really important piece to the puzzle, because if he releases a statement and there's no announcement from Ohio State and that statement contradicts Urban Meyer, you know what just happened. Gene played with the university and he said, you're gone. Your time is done.
All I do know as of right now is we decided as fair-minded people to give him the benefit of the doubt before that statement was released. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he had no idea. It doesn't seem logical to conclude that. Certainly seems like everybody else in the athletic department knew, including Urban Meyer's wife. But, okay, maybe, just maybe he didn't know, except for the statement revealed he absolutely knew and was lying at Big Ten Media Days. So, I mean, we're done here in my mind. And also, if you followed protocol in 2015, why did you lie at Big Ten Media Days?
Yeah, it's a very easy answer.
Yeah.
You'll have to, that's a question for the athletic director and the president of the university, because I followed protocol.
If you followed protocol in 2015, why did you lie?
Well, yeah, because he didn't follow protocol. There's no way. That's the easiest thing in the world. It would never occur to you to make up a lie if you have an easy, truthful answer.
Well, one thing I would say, though, is it's a very specific lie. I mean, he's come out now and said, I followed protocol and told Gene. I mean, he's Gene Smith. I mean, he's rolling his AD. That's a power play against his AD.
Well, that's interesting. Well, you wouldn't use this as the opportunity to oust him.
No, if somebody's going to get their head chopped off here, Urban's saying it's him, not me.
Yeah.
I'm betting I'm more powerful than the athletic director. And don't you think he is?
No, this is where, the Ohio State, right? Everybody they throw up at that. At least not Buckeyes. With how they did Tressel and for what they did, I don't think, really? Are you really going to say yes to Urban when you said no to Tressel?
They said no to Tressel, and in their mind, it wasn't the tattoos or the jersey sales of the players. They fired him because he, quote unquote, lied to the NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
That was their out. They did it.
Well, Urban just admitted he lied about a very serious issue.
Not to the NCAA. He lied to a reporter whom he claimed caught him off guard, which I can't buy since he had fired Zach Smith. He knew the question was going to come up.
Yeah.
There were 9 questions about this, and he lied to all of them.
Is Ohio State really willing to position themselves as lying to the NCAA is more important and more egregious of an offense than lying about domestic abuse? Really? You want to play that card?
I don't.
I don't think they can.
I'm giving you the scenarios where he could keep his job. And what that statement was him digging in, saying, I'm not walking without money, A. B, I plan to be here. Now, they need time to figure out how to place the blame elsewhere. And I thought it started with Meyer placing the blame at the feet of the AD and said, now, you swim a little bit.
We'll see how.
You don't like these waters, do you?
Here's your $20 million, shut up. I think that's where this is going.
I followed the protocol, everybody.
That's where that's going.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine
icon on the homepage and join our event. Just like that, your first beer at Libations Friday Fest is taken care of. As always, we'll have free t-shirts for hundreds of you, but get there early. We run out every single year. And to cap it off, there's a free end of the night raffle with fantastic giveaways from JCS sponsors. The 7th annual Jeff Cameron Show Libations Friday Fest Sunday edition, brought to you by FanRetreat.com. Sunday, September the 2nd from 4 to 7:30 at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Thank you to all of our listeners, and we'll see you there.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Yo, this is your cup holder talking. You know me, the little round thing between your car seats. Now, listen, we need to talk. Now, I normally have a nice cold bottle of Mountain Dew in me, but at the moment, I'm empty. That's right, no Mountain Dew. Nothing in here but a couple of quarters and a dime. Those 60 cents have been freeloading a ride in me for weeks now. I really don't want to be seen like this. A fully capable cup holder like me just carrying your loose change, it's embarrassing. It's beneath me. Look, I'm not made for loose change. I'm round like a bottle of Mountain Dew. Glistening, cold, and delicious. I'm made to keep Mountain Dew within reach at all times, so you're never far from that incredible bold citrus kick whenever you need it. Just inches from your hand, all snug and secure where it won't tip over or roll under your seat or get hot in the sun. So find a store already. Grab some Dew, toss it back, then place that bottle where it belongs, and put that loose change back in your pocket. That's what pockets are for. Mountain Dew. Do the Dew.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Wendell Parker of Parker Brothers Roofing. Most startup companies go out of business within their first 3 years. It takes years of experience for a roofing company to be exposed to and learn all the things that can go wrong. Don't gamble your valuable home to an inexperienced roofer. Parker Brothers has been in business in the community since 1995. Give us a call now at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
TGC 042221, CCC 049350.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. We're trying to track down our good buddy Irish Phil. He's a busy man right now. We all are, but for good reasons. Reasons that are exciting to me and you because it involves football and football news. If you'll allow for something non-football related here for a second, I'll do it. You might need a new pillow. If you've thought about this but you haven't pulled the trigger, do so now. Go to mypillow.com, click on the 4-pack special, enter the promo code 979ESPN. You'll get 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows, Tom. Anywhere you want.
Where would you go?
Portland. I want to visit Portland.
You have yet to cross Portland off your list?
Portland is on the list and has been for some time. I've been to the Pacific Northwest. I've been to Seattle, but I've not been to Portland, and I'd like to go. That said, click on the 4-pack special, enter promo code 979ESPN. You'll get 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows for half off. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the 4-pack special, enter the promo code 979ESPN. MyPillow, made here in the USA, comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. If you try it, don't like it, return it, but you'll like it. I love mine. You can wash them in the washer and dryer. You can get it all done right there. Still works. MyPillow.com.
Nothing yet?
He had a doctor's appointment. There's all that. There's plenty to go around here, man. We've got all the time in the world to bring in Ira, and we'll be all right. Walt Bell spoke yesterday. He did a great job of speaking. What were you most impressed with yesterday's press conference? For me, access. I walked out of there with the knowledge that we're going to get more information that's pertinent to our listeners and helps us, with informed opinions about what's happening behind the scenes because they're willing to talk about it.
Well, we were able to sit down after the press conferences were over last night and kind of, trade ideas about the football season in general, but certainly the press conferences. And one talking point last night was these guys are comfortable in their own skin. And I think that's really important. One thing that Walt Bell talked about at length was how organized he is, that he's a type A personality, that sometimes that's not a good thing. I found it interesting that a young coach who is an up-and-comer, and he could be a bull in a china shop if you look at the way his, upward mobility is trending right now to a head coaching job. He's willing to tell you what he's not good at. And I thought that was really fascinating. When he described Coach Taggart, he said that he can be direct, but in a way that's disarming. He said, I can't do that. I don't have that capability in me. So
he tabbed himself as a type A personality that has to be really buttoned up, really organized, really ducks in a row kind of guy. And you want that kind of organization, but he is intense about it. And he knows that sometimes that can be a detriment. But, yes, you're right. A willingness to admit to that, talk about that is fascinating. But, I think when you're confident in what you do and you're knowledgeable, certainly self-actualized people tend to be able to have those conversations and admit to those weaknesses. But it's all refreshing to all of us. Ira Schoffel joins us now. Of course, I should say Ira Schoffel joins us right now, as I want to do, warchant.com, where there's a lot of great stuff going on right now. As we are out there at practices and covering this, Ira came up with his, what is it, 3-2-1, 1-2-3? What is it, Ira?
3-2-1, Jeff. 3-2-1.
Listen, I love that when you do it. I'm not making fun of it. I just didn't know the name of it. I like it. I read it. I'm always interested to see what your observations are, and I compare and contrast and see if we're on the same page or we agree and disagree. But, it's up right now, I know, on warchant.com. And you pointed out that one of the things you took away from the press conference and from practices or first practice is that, look, every player's got a legitimate fresh start with this coaching staff. And I think that's accurate.
Yeah, I think that's neat. It's one of the things that we don't, talk a lot about because one of the, there are pluses and negatives to coaching changes. Obviously, one thing we talked about in the spring was that older players, juniors and seniors who've been in a program for 3 or 4 years, sometimes it's really hard on them because they've got to start over, learn new terminology, earn trust that they've had with the previous coaching staff. And but on the flip side, on the positive side, is you get some of these guys who maybe had kind of fallen out of favor for whatever reason. And, a couple of the guys I thought clearly we got a taste of yesterday was Janarius Robinson. Harlan Barnett mentioned that basically the new staff was told, maybe he can't play or he's not going to be able to help you right away. He was a guy that came in and was said to be really raw out of high school, but they love him. And he said, this guy can play. And we saw that at practice today that, he's really coachable. When he made a mistake, Mark Snyder would say something to him and before Mark Snyder could say something, Robinson would already kind of correct himself. So he's a guy. I thought a guy at safety, Calvin Bruton, is a guy that has never really played a whole lot. Has been a career backup, and today at practice, man, we'll see. It was one day, but he had some really nice plays, some nice coverage, broke on the ball well. So I think it's fun to see some of these other guys that maybe didn't feel like they were buried on the depth chart, didn't know if they would ever have a chance. You get a new coaching staff, and it's a fresh start.
Yeah, and I think the Harlan Barnett quote was great. It's the we're hearing all this stuff, and I'm seeing other things. I know what y'all are saying, but this dude is a good player. he's talking about, that was his quote, he's talking about several of these guys. And you're right. I think there is an infusion of life, an injection of enthusiasm from these players because they do have a fresh start. And they've been told that, and now they're seeing it. And so that's exciting. It's not lip service. Anything stand out to you today? It's just one practice, and things will get more intense as we go along. But were you able to glean anything that either surprised you or you thought were interesting or reason for concern?
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say because, there's some positions that are kind of mismatches right now because certain guys are out.
That's right.
The DBs kind of dominated the receivers, but, the receivers are missing Nyquan Murray. George Campbell's still not full go. DJ Matthews was not out there.
That's right. Yep.
He was rehabbing. So, they're really shorthanded. And then on the other side of the other positions, the offensive line, defensive line. I mean, Brian Burns looks like an unbelievable, a world beater.
Unblockable.
Unblockable. But
Right.
then, you look at kind of who he's going against, guys that, Landon Dickerson just making the transition to tackle possibly. They're trying some guys out there, but they don't have a proven. You'd feel a little bit better if he was doing it against a guy who played 2 years at left tackle. So, it's hard to make a lot of rash judgments, but I'm sure we will. That's kind of what we do.
Well, especially this time of year. I thought DeAndre Francois had the better of it at the quarterback position, but again, that's relative to one day of practice and drills, but I just thought he was more accurate. Did you come away from today's practice thinking the same or no?
I did, especially early on, and then kind of as it went on, you saw, Bailey Hockman made some really nice throws. Blackman showed, turned around a little bit. He started really rough. I thought James Blackman, I don't know if it was putting pressure on himself or what, but he missed a lot of throws early.
He looked terrible early. There's no way around it.
He did.
He missed guys all over the field. He forced a couple of balls in situations where I thought, wow, this is not the guy I remember at the end of last year, but he did settle down.
Yeah, he settled down, and I thought Francois missed some throws later that, he but overall, look, I mean, I've been saying for a little while, I think DeAndre Francois is going to win the job, assuming everything off the field is okay, like, Willie Taggart says, and assuming he is perceived to be as a better teammate and leader than he's been. I think Francois is going to win the job. Today, I don't think it was a slam dunk, but I didn't see anything to make me think, okay, that can't happen. I would say though that Walt Bell said yesterday that Bailey Hockman came out at the end of the spring and had some of his best practice. We all saw him in the spring game look better than probably most of us thought, and I thought today he definitely held his own. I mean, it's not I think a lot of times we patronize that third guy, and I don't think he's going to win the job, but he can play quarterback.
Yeah, it's a good situation for them where they have an open competition and you have legitimate competition, and maybe it's three deep. You're right. We ignore Bailey Hockman. Maybe we shouldn't. I also thought it was good news. We came into camp wondering about injuries, and Willie did talk yesterday at the press conference about some guys that will miss some time. But, Derek Kelly was out there today, and he looked fine to me. I know he's going to be limited, but he was out there today, and I find that fascinating. I know that they're quote-unquote a little banged up, but listen, I know this wasn't listed as an injury, but it was just nice to see Babian Johnson out there as well.
Yeah, the really two of those guys that he told us would be limited, it was Derek Kelly and also Nyquan Murray ran some routes. He did more than I think we expected. He didn't do everything. He sat out some, did some rehab, but he did some. Like you said, Babian Johnson was a guy. Jawan Williams was a guy that I've heard some differing reports on how well he's doing coming off his surgery, and he was out there a lot. But, we also have to remember this is in shorts, and so we'll see as they go to full pads, in a couple of days whether or not Derek Kelly and those guys are getting as many reps. Another one injury thing that was probably most concerning was watching Marvin Wilson come out and do some rehab, trying to run, and he's got a big brace on that knee and did not look like he was running great. So, now there's still a month till they play, but he doesn't look like a guy who's a couple of days away. He looks like it's going to take him a little while to get back to full speed.
I think that's accurate, and that does make sense given what the injury was and when it occurred. But you're right. I was hoping to see him look a little bit better. Did you detect any difference in DeAndre's demeanor and his availability with breakouts with the beat?
I think he tried to be a little bit more affable. I think, he's a smart kid, and I've always kind of liked the way he approaches interviews. He kind of like gets into verbal jousting a little bit,
right.
And I don't mind that at all. Some people, it bothers them a little bit, I thought today he was a little bit more straightforward. He didn't try to be cute as much and answered some questions pretty straightforward. Like someone asked him, I think, Safid Deen was asking all those guys if they'd be disappointed if they won the starting job. And Bailey Hockman was the one guy who said, yeah, I'd be disappointed. I want the job. Blackman and DeAndre were much more diplomatic, but DeAndre, I think that's one where maybe in the past, maybe he would have tried to be cute or make some sort of joke or throw it back at him. And he just said, no, I wouldn't be disappointed. I just want what's best for the team. And so I think he's definitely trying to, be a little bit more professional than he's been in the past.
Those three guys, I guess, thoughts on those three quarterbacks and how they are to interact with. What did you glean from those guys?
I think they're all really confident. I mean, Bailey Hockman, we kind of knew that when we talked to him in the spring. We talked to him briefly a couple times in the spring, and he at the time, came off as very confident. He doesn't think that he's a guy that should be an afterthought. He knows that everybody thinks he is. So, that's good to see. It's what you want your quarterback to have. He's certainly not conceding anything. James Blackman, you could tell, was trying to have a little bit more fun with the interviews than he did in the past. He came off a little bit more nervous in the past, but he's always had a big personality. We've heard about that from him with his teammates. I think he tried to show that a little bit more. And he's definitely quick on his feet. I mean, he had a couple of really quick answers. And then, like I said, with Francois, he's always going to be very kind of, matter of fact or kind of, he's not overly talkative with the media. But I do think he was trying to be a little bit more diplomatic than maybe he has been before.
It's going to be fun. What surprised you, I suppose, or maybe not surprised you, but you just found intriguing about yesterday's press conference? We were both at that, and I really enjoyed with the access that we got and the time spent with those coordinators, and as well as Willie Taggart. But what stood out to you about yesterday's press conference?
Well, I mean, first of all, it was just, obviously refreshing to get to talk to the coordinators for that long. Even when Jimbo did make his assistant coaches available, it was at media day, and there would be like 6 of them in there at a time, and you had about 15 or 20 minutes to scramble around. Those were full kind of press conferences with those guys. Walt Bell talked for like a half hour.
Yeah, he did.
And one thing that was interesting that Tim Linafelt mentioned to me, and I had actually thought about it too, was that Willie Taggart left. When he was done, he left and let them just talk and answer questions and be on their own and be grown-ups. And, because Walt Bell and Harlan Barnett had come in to watch Willie speak, I kind of thought he might stay around to hear them speak. But as soon as he was done, he was like, all right, fellas, and headed out the door and kind of left it to themselves, which I think was good because it probably put them at ease a little bit. I thought the two things that really, impressed me or stuck with me a little bit besides the details about players and things like that were, one, how much cachet Florida State has as a brand. And I mentioned this in my 3-2-1 that, the way Walt Bell told the story about how he just couldn't wait to get in the car and drive to Tallahassee when he got the offer, and Harlan Barnett just, talking about when he first got here, once he first started looking at film of these guys on defense, and even though they didn't play well last year, even coming from Michigan State, he was like, man, there's some dudes here.
Yeah.
And so I think that was kind of neat to hear just how much they appreciate this opportunity. And then also the way they talk about Willie Taggart. I thought one of the cool things about Walt Bell was saying, look, I took this job mostly because of Florida State. No disrespect to Willie Taggart, but I took it mostly because of Florida State. I like the fact that Willie Taggart has always scored a lot of points. So that's positive. He's successful and runs the kind of offense I like to run, so that was positive. But he said he's really grown to love Willie Taggart since he got here, just the way he coaches players, the way he leads them, the way he cares about their academics, the way he treats them. He's a good person. Those things, I think, made him feel a lot better about the job. It's not just a job. He really believes in what Willie Taggart's trying to do. So it's cool to hear that. I mean, we can all, roll our eyes at some of the things about college football, but certainly there's a lot to roll your eyes at. But anytime things like that are said and they seem genuine, it makes you feel a little bit better about it.
I completely agree. I thought that was my favorite aspect when he was talking about that, and you could tell that was genuine. It struck him that, okay, I've made the right decision because this guy cares about these kids. And I can take marching orders from a guy who I know cares about them as individuals as opposed to just winning football games. Now, you got to win football games. That's true, too. But that is nice to know, and you could tell he appreciated that. Always appreciate you, buddy. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
All right, take care. That's Ira Schoffel, warchant.com. Yeah, that is true. Walt made it a point to bring that up, that, hey, look, in no uncertain terms, this is clearly Willie's deal, but it's easy to take orders from a guy like that because I've seen how he cares for these kids when the cameras aren't around and cares about them and talks about them in our meetings and what he's trying to accomplish with them.
That's the thing where it completes the circle in a way, yesterday's press conference, because you've heard from players, you've heard from employees in the athletic department, you've told me because you've gotten a chance to speak with Willie in a one-on-one setting, and now his subordinates, right? They're all telling you there's just something personable about Willie where there's an earnestness, he cares, and he's listening to you when you speak. I mean, if everybody is saying it up before the coordinators, you're like, man, this guy is... he's something. But then Walt makes a point to say when when you guys leave and we're alone with him,
same guy.
He's the same guy.
Yeah. I think what I like most about the offseason aren't all the PR boons and all the cool things that he did with Florida State's tradition and its history and its successes and all of that stuff, and incorporating some of that and bringing some stuff back, and including a great guy in Mickey Andrews. I think it's that the theme of the offseason and so far his time here is accountability. To me, what you ought to be looking at and smiling about if you're a Nole is that you have a head coach who believes very much in accountability and is doing everything he can to preach it and let people know there are standards by which we do things and you will be held accountable. We can have fun and we can enjoy ourselves as long as we are doing what we're supposed to do, and that is work really hard, be disciplined, go to class, be a great teammate, do what we ask of you. And along the way, we'll have some fun doing it. But accountability is what he demands.
Well, and it's really important, too, because the number one concern, somebody would have for Willie is, all right, well, is he going to win? What about the on-the-field stuff, guys? Everybody, that's great that this honeymoon period is going on. But Willie is communicating it in no uncertain terms. I know.
Oh, yeah,
I know.
No, he's under no...
He said the first day when he was here in December, he's like, that's fine now.
I haven't coached a game yet.
I haven't coached a game yet. He is fully aware that that's all that matters at the end of the day. That he's hitting all the right buttons, yeah, sure, whatever. But I got to win.
Yeah, but I think he looks at the accountability angle, the going to class, to being a good student and a good teammate and putting in the work and doing those things physically and mentally to improve your chances. I think he views all of that as those are the stepping stones that allow you to win. All of that leads you to victory. And I think that's the way you preach that, by the way, because then you know what you're working for and what you're working towards, because everybody wants to win. But here's how you go about the process to win. This is how you do it. If you do this, 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 and this, we'll win games. And I mean, that's the most successful aspect of his early time here at Florida State, his early tenure here, is that, hey, without having coached a game, we can't talk about that yet. We will soon enough. But what he's done in the offseason, it's not just shake hands, kiss babies, and tell everybody how much he grew up loving Florida State. He's putting into place the tools for success. So Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer. tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely zero-turn mowers.
TNT.
for more information and start saving energy today.
So, Jeff.
Yeah.
I run into these ladies named Kathy and Grace. Mm-hmm. They love you, by the way.
Oh, they're smart people already.
Oh, my gosh. And darling ladies. They were at Bumpus, and they were telling me how they went to Gordo's and that it wasn't open yet. And I said, no, we are open, ma'am.
I could have assured them that it is most definitely open.
This week, we'll be in process of moving. Now, I know it's sad. I've been there for...
I'm a little emotional. I love the old Gordo's. You're telling me the new Gordo's is going to be better, though?
Well, the Gordo's and Market Square, the old Gordo's on Pensacola Street...
It's not going anywhere.
Still open. Still open, going to be there.
For life.
I hope so, God willing. And if you're on this side of town, you can always come eat at Bumpus.
New one is open when? A week, 2 weeks, something like that?
I'm shooting for a week, Jeff.
All right, I like it.
Shooting for a week and
same
maybe
great
two.
Food, same mahi, new drink specials, more
specials, more beers. We'll have a patio.
All right.
We're going to have, with fans and everything. It's going to be highfalutin, Jeff.
Highfalutin, a new Gordo's in a week or two. And in the meantime, go to Bumpus.
In the meantime, please come check out Bumpus.
All right. Yay, new Gordo's. We'll see you soon.
Right on.
Are you tired of getting the same two-piece kits? Cornerstone Tool & Fastener in DeWalt have your answer. Buy a 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit with 2 4-amp-hour batteries and receive a free 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit. That's correct. You get 2 DeWalt 3-speed impact kits for the price of 1, only at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. While you're there, check out the power of freedom. FlexVolt 60-volt tools from chainsaws to string trimmers, blowers, and even compressors. Cornerstone has the largest DeWalt selection in Tallahassee. 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon.
Truck and Car Concepts, we're your one-stop shop for tripping out to truck. Truck and Car Concepts, people with their cars, we're number one by far.
Your smoking hot sound system is waiting for you this week at Truck and Car Concepts on Mahan Drive. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and Tallahassee's newest authorized Alpine dealer.
Truck and Car Concepts, we're your one-stop shop for tripping out your truck. Truck and Car Concepts, people with their cars, we're number one by far.
Step up to the superior sound of Alpine audio systems. Connect the full control of your phone with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay from Tallahassee's market leader.
Truck and Car Concepts, we're your one-stop shop, we always aim to please. Truck and Car Concepts, everything is here from A to Z.
Call 656-8800.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool & Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I prattled on for a lengthy period of time there, but I do want to remind you and say thank you once again to our friends at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. It's your location for all of your tool needs. They've come on board to sponsor the Jeff Cameron Show, help those who help us and support us. They also happen to be really, really knowledgeable and good at what they do. It's where all the pros and do-it-yourself workers shop, Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. Big box pricing, local service, 2 locations to choose from. 1110 Stuckey Ave, 3269 Crawfordville Highway. And, oh, by the way, the Tallahassee location open on Saturdays from 8 until noon.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a do-it-yourself project, but if it, that's the tie-in, that's the tie-in. You got anything that needs to get done project-wise before the season starts?
Oh, before the season starts?
Yeah, is there something that you want to get done? There's always things to do. But.
Yeah. I want people to spend large sums of money with me, in particular to do with flooring. So come on board. Let's get this all done and get my floors done while we're at it. And I'll talk about you if you're good at it.
Classic. Your sales pitch is actually on the air. There's your cold call.
There it is. Come on. If you're a flooring guy or gal, come on, let's talk about some things here.
Other people in the office, they got to pick up the phone to
Yeah,
cold
they got to
call.
go do stuff. No,
You-
I'm just doing it. Yeah.
Just talking on the mic.
I'll just go sit down with you. We'll sit down and talk about this thing. I'm a pretty reasonable dude. Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
Favorite, the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. He's gone! Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Here, do you need headsets?
I don't need no stinking headsets.
Well, then go. Come on, man.
All right. Hi there, Tallahassee. You know me. This is Eddie. You know, I have other restaurants in this town, Gordo's, Banditos. Well, I opened up something new. It's called Bumpa's Local 349. You may ask, what is Bumpa's Local 349? It was named after my grandfather, Bumpa. It's what we called him. Best man I ever knew. And the Local 349 was his union. And I try to bring this local flavor, this local flair of Tallahassee. I want to bring it to you, locally owned and operated. Warm, good food.
Good Lord, man, we're getting all weepy up in here. It's a cool sports pub. It's got TVs everywhere. You got every package. You got a gazillion kinds of beers and delicious food and a deck. We don't need to weep up in here. Come on, Eddie.
And we have 16 local Florida taps. Great craft beer just for you. And the best bologna sandwich you'll ever eat. It's like you just won the lotto. As Bumpa said, no matter how you cut it, it's still bologna.
Bumpa's Local 349, 2738 Capitol Circle Northeast.
Driving every day from the AmeriGas studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio. WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Football practice underway. Was there this morning. Enjoyed it thoroughly. We'll be there again tomorrow. Yesterday, the press conference to start the year got underway. We were there. Willie Taggart addressed the media, took questions. That was followed by Harlan Barnett, defensive coordinator. He spoke with great passion about what they were putting together and what he expects from his defense. And then Walt Bell, young offensive coordinator, very impressive guy, came in and took questions and answered questions as well. And so it was that we had an exceedingly long period of time to talk with the head coach and his coordinators, which, my goodness gracious.
I know that we have next segment slotted on the list here. This is when we're going to talk about Coach Bell.
Yes,
and
it is.
Coach Barnett was in hour 1 of the program. You can get that on demand. We played his whole availability. Can't do it for Walt. That was 31 minutes.
No.
But we have a lot of audio from Walt that we're still going to have to hit on for days. And then you got the quarterback availability today. There's just information galore from yesterday and today.
Yeah, and it's fun to be part of that and to cover it and to be around a lot of these great guys that do that job as well. I enjoy I'm friends with a lot of these guys, and I ran into many of them today and yesterday and had a great conversation down on the field today at practice with Tom Block. And we were discussing some of the changes, some of the things we've seen. And, suffice to say, it's not just the players and coaches that are excited today arrived, but also the media, because it's a chance to tell the story. It's a chance to be able to relay information, valuable information that helps inform where we're at, because we actually have access to people and we can see things and talk about them. It's glorious. You didn't realize that you were, starving, right? And then all of a sudden you're given a 4-course meal. You're like, oh my God, this is how the other half lives. I can see the practices and the players I cover, and I can talk to the coaches and the assistant coaches. Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah,
it's like it's back in the Bowden era.
It sounds pretty basic, right? But when we were walking to the car yesterday after the availability, we didn't realize how much we were missing out on.
Oh man,
yeah.
I mean, you do, but then enough time passes, and that's the way it is, and you got to adapt and move on. And so our assessments were built and centered around game day solely, because they couldn't hide that from us. But now what you get is obviously not just what we're going to see on Saturdays come September, but also what you see behind the scenes with practice. Now, not every practice is going to be wide open, and you're not able to stay throughout all the practices throughout this camp. But practice is wide open tomorrow, and I'll be there for that as well, just as I was today. So we stayed through all of it today, and it was great, and tomorrow, no difference. I'm looking forward to it. I would imagine once they get closer to the season starting, in-season practices will be earlier than they were today, I think probably by a couple of hours. I know that Mondays are going to be their off day. Willie Taggart will have an 8 a.m. Conversation as well as, and that will be with me. And then also address the media on that day. So
I thought it interesting, too. I wouldn't call it bizarre per se, because they're just following NCAA compliance protocol. But before the availability started yesterday, Florida State followed through on the rumors that they will not be here for the entirety of fall camp. But it was interesting because Sports Information told us, listen, we can't talk about where we're going.
We can't even talk about where we're going, why we're going, how we're going. It's crazy. They were really worried about NCAA rules, and so they did. They said, listen, don't even ask about it, really. I mean, we can't talk about it.
Now, the rumors, quite separate from what Florida State said yesterday. I want to make that abundantly clear.
They certainly didn't say anything like this.
Right, yeah. They're going to IMG, and those were the rumors, and it's a wonderful recruiting tool, one would think. Coach Taggart did, when speaking generally, say that it creates adversity because you're out of your own comfort zone, and it brings you closer together. Those are the benefits he sees from it. But you'd be a fool to think it's not a double-edged beneficial sword right there for Florida State. But there it is. Coach Taggart and Florida State cannot speak on it in the same way that they can't speak about specific recruits until their name is on a letter of intent. So that was interesting yesterday. But in the middle of camp, like, as much as we're really happy about the amount of content we have, it's going to go dry. You're not going to hear from Florida State except for whatever Seminoles.com puts out every single day, because everything is closed off to the media for that 1 week. And
for
then they come back.
For that 1 week.
Yeah.
And that is a good time to wrap up little vacations, if that's what we're going to do here.
That's a new thing. That never happened in fall camp. Okay.
May have to take a couple days there with the team out of town. Can't cover them. Aren't allowed to talk about them. What are you going to do? I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it to the beach and the golf course with a beer in hand.
Because then it's on.
Because then it's on. Then it's go time. Then we work 6-7 days a week.
Well, because it's to our benefit, too, to show up over there. Frankly, there was no benefit to going over to the stadium for press availabilities in the past.
No.
It was just Jimbo, and he was going to say the same things.
Society.
And you were not sure if they were things that actually happened because practice was completely closed, and he was the only voice.
That's true.
So there was no, by the end of it, there was, media day was it. That was the only time it was worth going over there.
Oh, man. It's a dawn of a new day indeed. Oh, buddy. Refreshing. It was cool to watch practice today because I wanted to see for myself the relative health of several guys. And, you know, Derek Kelly was one of them. I think he's going to be a key component to what they do on that offensive line, and I needed to see where he was at, and he looked good. They said he'd be very limited, but he wasn't. He looked fine. He was involved in every drill. And that's important. And I saw Bavion Johnson. You know, I'm looking very closely, primarily early on, at this offensive line.
This is something that yesterday Coach Bell talked about, and then we can expand on it tomorrow, I suppose. But
well, no, we'll play the clip tomorrow and then expand on it without question.
Right.
I know right where you're going.
The offensive line situation and who is going to be the starting tackle and how they're going to determine the starting tackle and the way they're looking at it in short.
Who wins the guard job.
Right. Who wins the interior jobs. And that will help free up somebody to play along the edge, whether that's Kelly, Dickerson, whoever. No doubt, if somebody earns a guard job that is perhaps lower on the depth chart, perhaps they can get a better player to play left and right tackle.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And, you know, Walt talked a lot. We'll play a clip later this hour from Walt Bell, and I laugh. He's a fun interview. He's interesting. He sometimes can say a lot to say a little, but it's entertaining. There's no doubt about that. And we played for you, as Tom just mentioned early on in the show, Harlan Barnett's clip, the entirety of his Q&A, which was great. Also, something to note today, and I'll continue to talk about it, it's a legitimate quarterback battle. I was watching the reps and seeing how those played out, and all three guys are getting a fair shake. It is going to be fascinating in the coming weeks to tell you about who's doing what. Today, DeAndre Francois got the better of it. For sure. So, day one, he's in the lead.
When you were talking to Ira, and also, again, for on-demand purposes, Ira was pushed back to about the bottom of the hour. You know, so if you're listening to the podcast, that's where you'll find his interview. Did you watch much of Bailey Hockman at all? Do you put any stock into, you know, that he's got a chance to win, and what did you see today?
Oh, I don't think he has any chance in hell to win the job, but I do believe that he is a valuable backup and a kid that if was forced to play, you're not seeing a drastic drop-off. They're in a good position in one way, and in another, I'd like to say they're not where they need to be. And here's what I mean by that. On the one hand, they legitimately have two guys that have played a full season of quarterback at a Power 5 level in the ACC and have played in huge games. Clemson, Florida, all your rivalry games. They've both done that, okay? So that helps an awful lot to have that kind of experience, those kinds of reps under your belt for not one but two quarterbacks on your staff. That's amazing, right? Not everybody can say that. Most people don't have that. Alabama's got a good situation. Well, maybe. We'll see. I mean, I think Hurts is going to transfer. But you know, they've got a kid in Tua who's a supreme talent. And then if anything were to happen to him, they've got another guy that, went 27-2 in his starts or whatever it was. So they're in a good situation. But legitimately, Florida State's got two guys that have played a full season. And then I would say, if you look at that as a two-headed monster, as a 1 and 1A or 1A and 1B, they got a backup in Bailey Hockman that if he's got to go play, he's not going to be terrible. You're not going to see a massive drop-off.
I love the Jalen Hurts answer to this weekend very briefly where he said, why would I transfer? I'm 15 credit hours away from graduating. So a student-athlete answer to an athletics question, and we'll see how that goes over with Nick because it seems like Jalen's got his priorities in the right place about how and when he's going to transfer.
Yeah, he's going to get the 15 credits, and he's going to graduate, and he's going to go wherever the hell he wants, and he's not going to sit out.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, there was never any question about who was going to win that job. I mean, Tua was going to win that job, and if he didn't have a broken hand in spring, he would have been the quarterback then.
Funny if he goes to Auburn because he can do the SEC transfer now.
Don't think he's going to do that.
Well, it would fit in Malzahn's system with a skill set like that.
Yeah, I don't think.
But I hear you on our quarterback situation. The floor's not very low, but the ceiling ain't exactly high either. So that's
well,
what
that's
it is.
where
It's
I
like
was
a
the other,
well-defined
Yeah, that was the other
spectrum.
part of it. I didn't want to go down that road because it's just me bashing people again. But we're not at a place from a talent standpoint that we need to be at that position right now. Now, maybe the Howell kid, isn't that his name?
Yeah, Sam Howell. Yeah.
Maybe he's a different kind of player. I don't know, but we're not.
Well, maybe the offense is such that, listen, man, you don't need to be Jameis to go.
Oh, well, no, that's the idea, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we know in Willie's past incarnations, wherever he's been, you haven't had to have a Jameis-like quarterback to move the football. Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
Consultation today. If you can't come to us, we can come to you, day or night. Call us now, 855-HOSE-305, the law office of Jose Fernandez. We don't get paid unless you do. Offices, Tallahassee, Miami. Se habla español. JRFinjury.com.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
Summer temps in Tallahassee can mean extra stress on your AC unit. Let Barano Heating and Air Conditioning help with their Total Comfort Service program. Visit BaranoAC.com for info. You'll also find money-saving rebates, energy-saving tips, online scheduling, and more. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Call 580-4029. License for CAC 057652.
Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the three amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters Marina, your full-service marina. And presented by Hobbit American Grill and Mike's Marine Supply.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
Are you tired of getting the same two-piece kits? Cornerstone Tool & Fastener and DeWalt have your answer. Buy a 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit with 2 4-amp-hour batteries and receive a free 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit. That's correct. You get 2 DeWalt 3-speed impact kits for the price of 1, only at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. While you're there, check out the power of freedom. FlexVolt 60-volt tools from chainsaws to string trimmers, blowers, and even compressors. Cornerstone has the largest DeWalt selection in Tallahassee. 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon.
Attention students.
Looking for new furniture or mattresses? Call Tallahassee Furniture Direct today at 545-7112. Brand new furniture and mattresses at ridiculously low prices. Mattress sets less than $200. Bedroom sets less than $400. Living room sets less than $600. And complete apartment packages 50% below retail. Tallahassee Furniture Direct, 545-7112. Quality furniture, low prices. Delivery is available. Tallahassee Furniture Direct, 545-7112.
Hi, I'm Chris York with Monogram Art. While our name mentions monograms, we are a lot more than that. We offer a full line of corporate apparel to businesses and organizations, and we carry clothing brands such as Cutter & Buck, Nike Golf, Port Authority, and caps from Richardson, Outdoor Cap, Ahead, Yupong, and many more. We have the ability to create custom embroidered apparel that your employees will be proud to wear. So swing by our showroom at 2522 Capitol Circle Northeast or find us online at monogramart.com. Let us help you wear your brand.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. This the first day of practice. I was there. It was hot. I was happy to not be running around. Those guys were running around, as they should be. That's what you do at football practice. But they're getting a taste of the joy of a 10 a.m. burning sensation that doesn't happen too many places outside of Florida quite like this, man. It's the humidity to go with.
Did you see the expressions change as practice was ending versus the way they got to the field?
Yeah. No, there's no doubt that people had a good time, man. That was the coaches. I really like all these guys that we've had a chance to talk to and watch on this coaching staff. We talked yesterday with Walt Bell and Harlan Barnett. You guys have heard, and Willie Taggart as well. You guys have heard bits and pieces today. Here's my question to Walt Bell and his answer, and we'll Tom and I'll have a little fun with Walt Bell here. He is Matthew McConaughey, isn't he? Good-looking guy, in shape with the Southern draw to boot, and wordy. This is from yesterday's press conference.
We'll go to Jeff in the back left.
Coach, we know Coach Taggart said he'd be calling plays on game day, but in terms of scouting, week to week, self-scouting, putting together a game plan, what will your responsibilities be?
I look at coordinate, especially in this situation, it is a verb, and my job specifically, and honestly, having not been through a game week with Coach Taggart yet, I can't tell you exactly, but I think my job this season is as follows, and that's to do everything that I can possibly do, whether it be from an efficiency, time management, organization. My job is to do everything that I can possibly do where it is as easy as it can possibly be for him on game day. And that's my job, to make sure that from an organizational standpoint, from a teaching standpoint, from a mentorship standpoint, that we're doing everything we can do for our 11 kids on offense to make sure that all Coach Taggart's got to do is go out there and call it, and it happens the way he wants it to. So, not real sure yet, but we'll know real soon.
That's the answer. That last part there is the answer. But we got a minute and 30 seconds of other stuff, which is great to listen to because he's good at it. That guy could be your agent. He could be your lawyer. He could be a PR man. He could be.
That's a broadcasting shop, too.
Yeah.
To take something that's a 5-second thought and make it a minute.
Oh, no, and to make it compelling, most importantly. And he does. He does a good job with it because he speaks authoritatively and with great confidence.
But what did he actually say?
I don't know.
Right.
That's what he said. His answer was, I don't know, and that is great. I mean, that's a little taste of who he is and how he is. It's hilarious.
I'll be organized. I'll color coordinate. I'll make sure that the flashcards are ready for Coach Taggart.
Yeah.
And other than that,
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll find out.
We're not sure.
What about film study?
Soon, I'll have an answer.
Scouting?
I don't know. I just don't.
with a type A personality, I will sharpen my pencils and make sure they're ready to be written with.
Okay, so he one thing I want to comment on that I think came across abundantly clear through yesterday's press conference, and you and I were both there, and it's always interesting to compare notes. We saw the same things, we heard the same questions, and we heard all those answers, but we may take away a couple different things. It's abundantly clear this is Willie Taggart's deal. And you might say, well, it's supposed to be. No, well, listen, coaches do a lot of different things, and some coach differently. No, this is everything top to bottom is Willie.
Well, play calling, right? That's considered, from the fans' perspective, like the thing. Everybody wants to call the plays. I mean, even with Jimbo, right? It was tough for him to give up the play calling.
That's
duties.
right, yeah.
And Randy Sanders did for a time, briefly, then Jimbo would take it back, and he got more micromanaging as his tenure came to an end. It was almost like it had a perfectly symmetrical beginning and end with how much Jimbo would micromanage play calling in the offense. So when you're Walt Bell and you're at Maryland, but you're calling the plays, you would think if you're coming down to Florida State and you're not calling the plays that at least you're going to have some sort of senior input. But yes, I agree with you.
It came across that this is Willie's deal, and if Walt's called upon,
right,
he will be ready, but I don't know how often that's going to happen.
When they have their talks about the offense, I don't think it's peer-to-peer.
No.
It sounds like Walt comes with a notepad, and Willie gives him, what he wants done, rather than let's have a talk here about what we're trying to do together.
And we don't know if that will change, if that dynamic will shift as the season goes along. I would think that has to be a fluid situation where, obviously if it's going well, you leave it as is. But if they at any point, let's say in that stretch where they play Miami, I know Wake's in between this, but Miami, Clemson, and Notre Dame, those are really, really good defenses. Really good defenses. Yeah. And if you're struggling there, does he make an adjustment? Does he then decide, or at any point, do you see that in game early on?
Well, to be fair, I think two things here. One, Willie did say if I get stuck. Yesterday he said, if I get stuck, I'm going to need Walt to give me a play in that moment.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you paint yourself into a corner. He didn't say that specifically, but you can gather that's what Willie was inferring there. Mm-hmm. As a play caller, sometimes you can't see what you need to see. But the other thing is, Walt is working with Willie for the first time. So
he's learning his tendencies. He's learning what he likes, what he doesn't like.
Right.
He understands the offense, and they philosophically marry nicely.
If I'm a manager and you're going to work in my department, and at some point, you're going to be your own person on the level where I am, still, when you come work with me for the first time, I got to get you up to speed on how I run things.
Yeah, this is the way I do things on game day. This is how I operate.
Once you
as
know
a play
that,
caller. Yeah.
once you know that, then we can talk on the same level.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably the process that's going on right now, which is where you're correct. It's going to be a dynamic and fluid process. Right now, Willie's teaching Walt how he wants things done. There's a lot of coaches on that staff that have been with him. Walt is not one of them.
No, and I think that's true across the board, though. Harlan Barnett had some of that, too, where it was very abundantly clear that he is deferring to Willie. Now, they're different sides of the ball. I got it. It's just that Willie is a hands-on guy. And I think there were questions as to whether or not that would be the case. We're learning about Willie as we go along here.
The dynamic is a little bit different, though. And now you can speak to this better because you saw practice today. I'll be there tomorrow. But we saw spring practice together when it was open. Mm-hmm. Willie is not as hands-on on the practice field.
Right.
He empowers the coaches to go coach.
Go coach.
And he oversees.
That's right.
But behind the scenes in the offices, it does seem like he's very hands-on. And what that means is when the offense is actually being called for the 60 minutes that we watch, the real games, it's on Willie whether or not that thing succeeds. He's accepting that burden, and clearly he's laid out to his subordinates, it is my burden because I'm the one, the buck stops with me here.
Yeah, and I like that. I want my head coach to be that way. Back the lament we had towards the end of the Bowden era, or when he was in the back end of his career, was that he delegated so much, you didn't feel like you had a game day coach. You didn't feel like you had a guy that when we stepped out there, if something goes wrong, he could adjust on the fly because his hands were all over and were the signature of the offense. That wasn't Bobby at the end. And so when we got it, it was a breath of fresh air. when Jimbo was there and you saw the headsets on and you saw him looking at that playbook, at least in the beginning, it didn't drive me nuts. Later on, I was like, get your head out of the playbook. You're a head coach. Remember that? I mean, that's how that kind of went.
Right, not a coordinator. Right.
Right. So what I realize is that's good. First of all, I think fans want a coach who's an expert on one side of the ball or the other. That you want that. You want a coordinator. You want a guy who's calling plays. You want a guy who's immersed in every aspect of what you're doing on game day, but also understands how to balance that, and so it's going to be interesting, I think, watching Willie. If there's an area of concern for anybody, it's been hard to voice because there have been no missteps. Time and again, there has been a home run hit off the field. He's just everything he's touched. And the latest with Mickey Andrews is another proof positive that he gets it.
He's aware of context. Now it's just, but the substance is still 90% of the equation, and that's the thing here. I thought it was going to be more difficult. I thought we'd have a different problem yesterday after Walt Bell talked. I thought when you asked him that question, the answer was going to be to the point where his responsibilities were so heavy that you wouldn't know where his influence on the offense ended and Willie's began, or vice versa. To the contrary, the problem was we don't know what Walt's actually going to be doing Monday through Friday of a game week because he's not willing to either share it or he honestly doesn't know it. And now it's Willie's offense. It's 100% Willie's offense. So when we're evaluating whether or not we're doing well or not week to week, it ain't because I don't know if Walt's influencing too much or Willie is.
Right, exactly.
No, that's all Willie's call.
No, and that's why I said it just now. I wanted people to realize as we learn more on a day-to-day basis with practice starting and we talk to these coaches, because we have access to them. Novel concept. I'm going to be pointing things out here so that we are defining our terms, as I like to say. When you come into a season and you have a known commodity, and you know a way a guy coaches, you can speak to aspects of the game that he's affecting positively or negatively. But we didn't know what those would be with Willie because we've never worked with him. We don't know.
Right.
And now we do.
The interesting thing here, too, is how does he react to adversity? Willie, the head coach, right? Does that speed up or slow down the process of taking the training wheels off of getting used to Walt's style and day-to-day what Walt does? Will it always be the same? These are hard answers that we're really not going to have an idea about for a month or 2 months into the season, if that, because every season's unique. So let's say you get into year 2, he may treat the situation much differently with Walt Bell than he does in year 1. There's a lot to parse, and I don't know that we'll be able to precisely do it as it happens.
Something I'm concerned about, and it will be interesting to see how it plays out. Everywhere Willie's been, he's been allowed to fail and bounce back. I mean, what would have happened at Oregon, I don't know. I mean, that situation was unique, but he would have been allowed to struggle there. I mean, they did lose 5 games, and I understand he lost his quarterback. But he was allowed to struggle and figure it out on the fly and then get it back.
Well, he'll be allowed to struggle here by our standards for an 8-4 season. If you're saying that's passable, that'd be disappointing to me. But if overall that's not a disaster of a season, that's being allowed to fail by Florida State.
But it's
standards.
not 7-6. It's not, it's not a losing season. It's not, At USF, he had that first horrible year and then was in the midst of a bad year and figured it out and realized, I got to stop. I got to do something different. This isn't going to – I don't have the personnel. We can't run what I want to run. We got to change what we're doing here. You don't really get that time here, man. You get Willie is as this season starts, he gets this season before it gets – I mean, let's say if things go – I don't know. What are we going to define as a bad season? You say anything worse than 8-4 is
I'm saying 8-4, and I'm like, okay, let's just get the recruiting class in. Let's get the whole thing moving a little bit. Unfortunately, I think it's closer to stagnant than it is progress. 8-4. I think 9-3 with the way the schedule is. That means you're likely to have won one big game on the schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who you lose to is a way we define a season too. Yeah, I mean. You can lose. You can go 8-4, and if your losses are at home to Clemson, on the road to Miami, on the road at Notre Dame, I guess the only other loss, I don't know, maybe that Louisville or NC State game, if you lost on the road there. If those were your losses, because I do think if you lose to Virginia Tech, it is a bitter disappointment. There's just no way around it now. It's a Monday night game with the nation watching your debut in a hostile environment. That place is going to be insane. Can't wait for it. He can't wait for it. I mean, I know he's excited about it. Everybody is. That would be, taking the stage and falling flat in your face. Go out there and lose to that Virginia Tech team that's had as bad an offseason as you can have. So that's why I choose a different game when I was trying to find a fourth loss there. Before all of what happened and transpired with Fuente's team, you would have said Virginia Tech can easily come in and beat you. He's got a head start on you. 2 years in the bank for him, 2 9-win seasons, and he's establishing himself, and they're coming in here. But when he lost 11 scholarship players on defense and 8 starters, that's a problem.
We should win that game.
Yeah,
if we don't, then you got to be perfect until the Miami game, and you'll have captured the hearts and minds right back by that point. But no doubt, Sanford weekend, Northern Illinois,
Syracuse, you can't be out there.
The wind would be out of the sails. It wouldn't be totally gone, and losses happen for a reason, right?
I always do.
So if we go 8-4 and we go toe-to-toe with all these teams, getting lucky in a couple of games, that's different than getting blown out by 3 scores in 2 of them and then playing 1 close game. So how you lose, if we lose, matters. But, no, I mean, if you want forward momentum, you got to win 9 or more games, I think. If you want steady forward momentum.
Well, remember, recruiting is a big part of all of this, and he's hitting home runs there. So I think you could go 8-4 and then really reap the benefits of a great recruiting class in which, Florida State fans would take great pride and feel the momentum of a top 3 recruiting class in year 1 for Willie, and you'd be all right there. I think you could do that. It's not ideal to lose 4 games, but this schedule is awfully difficult. I just know that what we're looking at offensively on game day is Willie Taggart. That's what we're watching, and after yesterday, there's no illusions to that. Now, Walt Bell is a bright guy who had success as a play caller, is rising through the ranks, as we well know. I would be interested to ask this very same question after the Virginia Tech game to get a sense, and I hope I get to, because I will, to get a sense of exactly how game day went. What was he asked to do? What would he be willing to reveal? What is he allowed to talk about? But how did that install go that week? And what was his contribution to what's on the sheet Saturday?
Well,
or in this case, a Monday.
I'm not as worried about Saturday itself. I think they've got their plan ironed out to a T. Walt said yesterday he's going to be his eyes in the sky.
As it should be.
And he's going to feed him information. If something's not working, why? Because Willie's got a lot to handle. This is something where maybe Jimbo had it for a portion of his tenure.
Well, he got it. He found it for 2013. I mean, obviously. And then they won that championship, and then something changed.
But I would be confident that, again, there really aren't any egos here, and you touched on that earlier on. But with Walt, he's going to be in the press box. He said 99.9% sure he's going to be, up in the coach's box and not down on the field. To me, that signals 2 things. One, he didn't come here to be front and center at all times. He came here to learn some things, and he's okay with being a subordinate to Willie. But it also means to me that in the same way, looking at it from a different perspective, they're on the same page. They understand that the information flows up to the top and then let Willie make a call. But given his chops, I think Walt Bell would be a qualified candidate to go look at information on the field and feed Willie on game day. The question is, how much information is he crunching during the week when they prep and they install?
It's going to be fun to watch that dynamic over the next couple of years, assuming Walt Bell's here. Because, again, he's a rising star, and he's a guy that I think if he gets to interview, he's going to nail it. You just know that guy walks into an interview and hits a home run every time.
He would. The question is, when would the right opportunity come for him? How big of a job is he willing to wait for? Because he's the offensive coordinator at Florida State right now.
Right. No, he doesn't have to take whatever, right? He can wait until there's a better opportunity. When I asked him that question when he originally got here, I asked him something about what it was like to go from a place in which you did call plays to a place where now it doesn't appear that you're going to be. And he said, well, I understand that if we win here at Florida State and I want to win national championships, everybody gets credit. Everybody does well. I don't need to be the star of the show. He said that then. I don't need to get recognized. I mean, if this team's scoring points and we're winning games the way I suspect we can here at Florida State, we all get looked at and praised. I don't need that week to week. I don't need that right now. And so he does get that. If they win, people come calling. They try to take your assistance.
Flash forward, there's your next coach at Tennessee after Pruitt fails in 3 years.
Yeah, I thought about that. I also thought, listen, North Carolina is going to fire Larry Fedora probably this year, so that's probably too soon, right?
I would think so. And honestly, wouldn't your eye be on a bigger prize than North Carolina at this point?
Yeah, but it's a Power 5 job in the ACC where you can win 9-10 games and go to good bowls. I mean, you could prove yourself there and then get something else too. Yeah, I'm just saying that's not a terrible job. A terrible job to me, and this is going to rub people the wrong way, Tennessee. I don't want the Tennessee job because I can't win the way I need to win, the way those fans expect to win, the way that they believe that program should be operating. You're in the East, where you've got to be better from a recruiting aspect than Georgia currently, which you can't. You can't. And if Florida ever gets it together, the best you can do is third, and that's the best.
Yeah. The hard part is, and we're getting way ahead of ourselves about his head coaching tenure, but you can't go in the living room very often. Like, he's such an asset to us right now because he can go into the living room across the country. Willie only gets a limited amount of time around the kids when they're not on campus. But Walt can be an absolute asset for the whole recruiting cycle. And if he is half as good, and we know he is, but if he's half as good in the living room as he is at a press conference, I mean, who's not going to say yes to that guy? That's ridiculous.
I thought it was interesting. You asked a question. In fact, do we have it? You asked a question about what it's like to be in a meeting with Coach Taggart, I think was your question. And, what's the interaction like?
Yeah.
If we have that, you can play that, or should we, Yeah, go ahead and play that.
Yeah, I think he's got a really special gift, and just kind of how he is in here. I think he's got a really special gift, and it probably will help, I'm sure not probably will, but I'm sure it has, helped him kind of create the cohesiveness with his staffs. He has a way of being very direct and getting his point across in a way, but for some reason, you like him for it. I am not that way. I just can't do that. It's not my personality, not who I am, but he has an incredible way about him to communicate very directly, very clearly, and make sure everybody understands the message. But you got a smile on your face when you hear it, and I think especially in today's, and I've worked for plenty of coaches where that's not the way, but just I think he's, just his demeanor, he's fun to be around. Not that there aren't things that we don't get coached on. I mean, that's his job, is to coach us. Not there's things that we don't get coached on and coached hard. But I just think he's himself. He's very authentic and genuine. He doesn't act one way in here and then completely change who he is. When all the doors are closed and nobody else is around. I just think just the authenticity of him. Is for me very refreshing and made me even more excited to be here, knowing that you're working for a good guy. It makes you a lot better salesman and a lot more apt to buy into the mission when you believe in that guy. And I think our kids could tell you the same thing.
You can see there that it's funny. He's clearly had sit-downs with Willie in which he was instructed to do something very specific in the way that Willie wants it done. But he also seems to, and he noted that Willie has the ability to make you smile while you're being told in no uncertain terms, this is how we do things.
Yeah, he was told no.
Yeah.
He was told no. Like, he's like, what if we do not, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Well, I'll take that into consideration. What we're going to do here is, and, you just blow right past and you move on. That's right. And you're like, okay, all right, that's fine.
That's my answer.
But, yeah.
He can read between the lines.
That was
interesting.
The number one goal for me was to figure out, and you asked him the first half, as a fan, as somebody who's just interested in how this machine works.
Yeah.
What are you responsible for?
What are you going to be doing, dude?
And are you speaking eye to eye? He can still be the boss, but you can speak eye to eye. No. He doesn't know what he's doing yet, week to week, or he's not willing to say, one of the two. And then the second thing is you're not looking eye to eye. You are sitting at the desk while Willie is teaching, or you are sitting in a chair and you're listening to Willie's orders, and then you're carrying out the orders.
And he has said in no uncertain terms that's what he is there to do, and he knows that. He's made that abundantly clear. He also said this, and I think it's important. You heard it there. It makes him a better salesman, and that you're more apt to buy into whatever mission it is they're asking you to complete when you believe in the guy that's giving you the order, and Willie's a genuine guy, and they believe, and he thinks, and he said, his last comment there was, I think the kids can tell you the same thing.
I also think we all appreciate that Walt was willing to offer up that he's a salesman, that college coaches are salesmen.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's not hard. See?
No, you got to. You're selling something. You're selling a vision in a way you believe you can achieve what y'all are there to do, which is win, right? And I need you to buy into the way I do these things. Or it's true as a recruiter. I mean, this is what I do. Here's how I do it. Here's why I think you are perfect for what we do. But if you don't buy that, then I'm screwed. But you got to have people who believe in you as a person and the way that you are going about the process, as Jimbo would say, and you pitch that. That's in essence what you do. You pitch it. You're a salesman. But if you're selling something worthwhile, look, I'll buy from a salesman if it's something I think I can utilize. If it's something that that makes my life easier or better in some way, well, then I'll buy what you're selling. Is it a worthwhile product? The assistants here from Harlan Barnett and Walt Bell, and obviously these kids, to hear them talk about it, and I did at the ACC kickoff, yes, they believe in the person. They believe in the guy. Now, that can change. We've seen how that can change. For the good and for the bad, it could all happen, and it usually has something to do with whether or not you're winning a lot of games. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Neese Tire and Auto Service. Neese has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Neese Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Neese Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
All right. Yay, new Gordos. We'll see you soon.
Right on.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Roof
roofing is rewarding, but it's not exactly a bed of roses. It's a very dirty job, subject to the environment, working on 98-degree summer days, dodging rainstorms, working on steep slopes like a mountain goat. At Parker Brothers, our skilled workers have chosen this challenging trade as their career choice. These are the people that you want working on your roof. We've been servicing the community since 1995. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
CGC 042221, CCC 049350.
You know what? It's time you level up your lemon lime with clear, refreshing Mountain Dew Ice. We get it. You're used to a certain kind of lemon lime experience. But why settle for this when you could have this? You want a fist bump that ends in one of those fake explosions?
Hey, Charles.
Or a fist bump that ends in an actual explosion?
Hey, Charles.
Want to pull up to the party on this? Or arrive in this? Take this last second shot? Or make the last second shot? Make this musical request? Or this one? So yeah, you can keep drinking the same old, but we think you'll like the exploding fist bump last second shot showing up to the party properly way to lemon lime, right? Mountain Dew Ice. Clear, refreshing lemon lime, redefined.
Looking for a new place to watch your favorite sporting events? Hobbit American Grill with 3 locations to choose from. Just show them your stub. That's right, your ticket stub from any local sporting event for $1 pints and $3 crafts. BOGO Mondays every Monday with 50% off specials. Like or follow on Facebook to get all the details. PS4 tourneys, trivia, karaoke, darts, and more. Lots of daily lunch specials under $8. Happy hour specials daily and happy hour all day on Friday. The Hobbit American Grill.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Change your life with a career in a year at Lively Tech. 38 career in a year programs available. Medical assistant, pharmacy tech, welding, diesel mechanic, automotive, massage, HVAC, electricity, cosmetology, barbering, digital design, and building trades. Full-time, part-time, and nighttime schedules are available for most programs. Enrollment opportunities provided for local high school students. Financial aid is available for those who qualify. Visit livelytech.com for more information. Change your life and enroll now. Lively Tech. Your career starts here.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
As we get set to wrap it up with a little bit of probables, I must admit, the bludgeoning of the Yankees in a sweepage over by the Red Sox did my heart good.
I think I was listening to the pregame last night. I was driving around town around 7, and I think they said that would be the 3rd or 4th time in the last 2+ decades that the Red Sox have swept the Yankees in a 4-game series. It just doesn't happen.
Well, and last night, that one will hurt your feelings if you're a Yankee fan. Good Lord, you blow a 4-1 lead in the 9th, and you could see it coming. You could see it coming, just little things. And I will say, when Chapman blows it,
Well, my heart goes out to him, because that guy's just faced nothing but adversity in his life.
I told you, man, when he blows it, you smile ear to ear. You're like, yeah, get you some of that, wife beater. Just falling to pieces, aren't you? Stings. Yeah, I root for it. I root for everybody to do that, but
yeah, the only thing better would have been if Reyes was in the infield and it was an error that blew the save.
Yeah,
and it was like double
those
whammy.
Two. Yeah,
those two.
And then in an effort to overcome the air, he throws wildly off of Chapman's face.
There it is.
There.
Mm-hmm.
It's all worked out
That's
well.
how you end a baseball
That's
game.
what we do right there. Just a crazy finish. Probable's fired up.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Wow, wow. Reds, Mets, Homer Bailey, Noah Syndergaard. By the way, your boy had another one of those outings. The 2-1 loss the other night, I saw.
Oh, DeGrom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take it to beer.
Yeah. I think he gave up 2.
He gave up
that's
2
just
earned
too
runs.
many.
2
Yeah,
earned
it's just too
runs.
many.
What do we do?
Zach Wheeler continues to pitch like a man.
Dominating.
I hope you picked him up when I suggested that his four-seamer was coming.
I did not.
Ah, that would have been a good pickup.
It would have been. I didn't trust it. He's pitched really well.
Trust me, if I don't like that guy, hate's too strong a word, but if I can't stand watching him and then I'm willing to come around, it's the truth. He's done more than
He's
enough.
done a lot. He's pitched really well. Twins, Indians, Kyle Gibson, Trevor Bauer. We got the Cardinals and the Marlins. Luke Weaver and Wai Chen. Hello, Luke. Mariners, Rangers, Wade LeBlanc. Martin Perez. Yankees, White Sox. That's a chance to get right. White Sox are a get-right team. Lance Lynn and Dylan Covey. Covey's struggles have extended over the last 8 starts with an 8.66 and 1-6 record in those starts.
Oh, my God.
Gave up 46 hits and 22 walks in 37 innings. 8 home runs in those innings. 8? How are you in the league, dude? What are we doing here?
What is he doing?
Yeah, it's Matthew, who's the Phillies reliever you hate that as soon as they bring him in, you're like, oh, that's that.
Adam Morgan.
Oh, that's it. Adam Morgan. Dylan Covey is Adam Morgan. As soon as Adam Morgan comes in, I crack up because I just picture him because I know he's watching it.
Yeah.
He watches every Phillies game, and then Adam Morgan comes in, and I just picture him at home watching that game going, what are we doing here?
We've all had that guy.
We've just decided we're going to go ahead and lose this game.
College or pro, we've all had that guy. Aaron Heilman, what up?
It's the worst feeling in the world. It gets you so angry. You're like, again, we're turning to this guy, this Slappy who can't get me out.
We would go to Aaron Heilman in 06, and that's what the guy who gave up the home run, because of course he did.
Yeah,
Molina.
that's what he does, yeah.
We had Joe Smith, who I loved. He was brand new. Joe Smith, the great American hero. That dude is still closing games and setting up games. He was a little kid at the time, but he's still doing it.
Frustrating, man. Cubs, Royals, Cole Hamels, Jacob Junis, Pirates, my Buccos. Ooh, tough task on the road in Colorado. Musgrove's been really good, man. He's been really good, and he's going to have to be because Colorado can hit. Kyle Freeland goes for Colorado. The Phillies and the D-backs, good game there, huh? Jake Arrieta, Zach Goodley. Tigers, Angels, Matthew Boyd, Nick Trapino. Astros, Giants, Charlie Morton. Derek Rodriguez goes for the Giants, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Nice.
Braves are off tonight. I think it's their final off day until the end of the season. They've had
Is that right?
I mean, I could be exaggerating, but they have 2 or 3 doubleheaders before the season's out. They've
Not
had
good
so
for a team in a chase.
No,
not good. You don't want to do that.
I think that's why they got 84 bullpen arms at the deadline.
Gonna need it. Doubleheaders are brutal on teams, and they never sweep them. That's the other thing. You could be the best team in baseball playing the worst team in baseball. A doubleheader, split.
Yeah, they're playing the Nats tomorrow, day-night.
I miss the back-to-back, the old, we're starting at noon and we're playing baseball for like the next 9 hours.
Yeah, single admission.
Yeah. You walk in, you're watching 2 baseball games. They just don't do it anymore. Just don't see it. When I was a little kid, I remember when they would announce there was a doubleheader on, like on WGN or something. We got both Cubs games today? All right.
Yeah, when I was in Colorado back in 05, I went and I saw a doubleheader, Marlins and Rockies. Single admission.
Nicely
I think it was
done.
like 40 minutes between, the conclusion of game 1. Just stick around and here you
clean
go.
up the field a little bit. Let's get to. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.